here with affordable door and gate. I hope you are doing great. So we're going to talk about these garage doors a little bit. I think I only got one little flaw with them. Maybe we'll get Rich B in the house. Maybe we'll get a little clarity on something. Mess up the old tripod. And you guys are obviously, it's Thursday. It's Thursday. Happy Thursday. We're doing a live on a Thursday. Hope everybody's doing great. Hope you had a great Thursday. Kept all your fingers. Nobody lost any fingers. Get you set up in here. All the good stuff. We're going to take a look at this. We're going to do it together. Let's go check this out. Then, like I said, you're more welcome. Ask questions. Hit the like button. Helps wake up YouTube. YouTube likes little stimmies. Did I bring gloves? Probably not. Could I use that? Do I need gloves? No. Sometimes I even hide them, but we'll be okay. I was going to bring my cute little chair, but I forgot my chair. That's okay. So let's take a look at this garage door, shall we? Huh? What's up? Rusty says, what's up? Is it first? Dang, Rusty, you are first. So, we got 1 3/4 springs. All right. All right. Looks like we got warnings. Warning stickers, good. Got some nylon rollers, which was cool about this door manufacturer is I like the fact, just nothing too exciting there, but what I do like is I like that they do this, man. This right here is the golden ticket. I tell you what, a longer stem for the bottom, man. That's a true garage door guy right there. I love it. You know, so when you put them in this bottom bracket, I know this one's together. Break it apart for you, right? I think I know what I'm doing. Don't worry. They call me an expert. Anyway, look at that. Now that is some sexy stuff right there. Look at that. That way, if it travels a little bit, it doesn't do this. Pops out. It just stays in there. Bada bing, bada boom. Real simple. Like it. So I like that. Like the limb. Nice beefy side lock. Wow. Wow. We don't get the cheap ones, eh? Nice one. Normally we get these ones. These are kind of what we normally get from like Wayne Dalton. You know, the smaller ones. Smaller ones kind of have a little bit of a place out there, but you can't go wrong with a big one, right? Can't go wrong. Oh, don't mind. If you guys don't mind, you already got 5. Hit the like button while you're here. This helps out. I see fire. Is it chill? Chill says fire. This is a little different. They're not together like I'm normally used to. Break these apart, which is fine, but it's got the tab on it, right? End bearing plate. Hardware, just normal, right? We got all our hardware there. Yeah, Mr. Rich B, I see you in there. I like it. I'll ask you before I forget in case we get disconnected or something. The only thing I seen that was a little bit weird to me was, do they offer solid seal? Don't know if I'm a fan of the hollow seal. I'm so used to hollow seal breaking. It's got this nice little ribbon here though. This is really nice. It's a nice feel. I mean, for hand banging, I mean, this is it, man. This is the cat's meow, I'd say, but we're gunning. So I don't know if we can get solid, if that's an option, or we just gotta buy bulk. Not the end of the world. I can live with that. I can so live with that. That stinking bottom seal, though, I cannot live with. Give you a rope. Nice rope, too. So that's... What's he got? What's he say? He says, no, that's what they have. All right, well, it is what it is, you know. The only thing I didn't see, but it's not the end of the world. We got our center. Nice center. Yeah. I was searching for it. Got her bag of nylons. As I was searching for it, I was mentioning, oh, that's not it. The standard foot peg, which is fine, right? Just a standard old foot peg. Normally, a lot of companies will give you two, right? And I just use one for a pull handle. I do like the ones that they give you. I got one right here if I could reach over. This one's a little more fancier, but I like when they do give you a handle like this. I think this is going to have one. We're going to see. I'm looking, though. I'm still looking. Let's see. Blues. Holy moly, man. Those top fixtures, though. Man, those are buttes. Those are heavy duty. Super heavy duty. Really nice. Nice quality. What do we got? Our center bearing, plastic. I don't really care. You know what I mean? I'm always like plastic, metal. Plastic ones work fine for me. I've never been a big, opponent to either one. 50-50, you know? Oh, and I see we got 8 likes too, so don't forget to hit the like button if you would, please. Got a bag. Ooh, these ones I kind of like because, so sometimes these can be a little goofy. Now, I don't know if Rich will know. It looks pretty darn close. Are the struts normally, are they keyed the right way normally? You know how the struts normally don't have the holes? Because this one's got pointies. And I like pointies. I think pointies bite really hard. And it looks through a strut. That one lines up. That one lines up. That one lines up. The strut. You ain't gonna believe it, guys. Let me show you. It's a miracle. It's just a miracle. The strut lines up. Boom, boom. Look at this, huh? Boom, boom. Right there. Even got slots, so you got a little bit of give. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh, that one matches. That one matches. Oh, it matches. It's weird, generic stuff that's like they just slap it together and they never installed one in their life. So I think it's only 1 foot peg. And this must be the grab handle, or this is the foot peg. I've never seen one of these, assuming this is a grab handle. That's what you grab to try to help pull the door down and push your slide lock in. So you got 2. That's what I always figure these are. It's foot peg, grab handle. So there's a little different. I've never seen one like that. Got these beautiful. These look just, basic standoff. Nothing too funny about this, right? I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Standard, baby. At least they got them too. D likes to not give you those a lot of the times. One thing else I have too is as on the 1 3/4 spring, do they offer 2-inch or are they always just going to always be, if Rich B knows, are they always 1 3/4 or do they offer 2-inch? I don't know if that's like an upgrade or anything. It really doesn't matter to me. It works. I'm just not used to being around, but it's not no big deal. Oh, I just pulled all the rope like a dum-dum. Excited to put it in. It looks nice. I'll show you the bottom seal too once I get this stuff. Put it back in the box. Ooh, there's even say right hand, left hand. Yeah, right wound. I was looking for that because I've had screw ups in the past. Left. That's nice. I'm breaking up. Oh no. Oh no. Oh man. Who was my driver? Gosh, he said it. I'll see if it's. I don't think I got the paperwork here. He's a shorter guy, dark hair, real guy. I want to say like Lopez or something like that, but I can't be sure that was him. If that sounds right. Might have been wearing glasses. Super nice guy. I hope they didn't make just a special trip. Are we still breaking up? Are we still here? I don't think I have any paperwork here. Like I said, they're kind of new to this here. So like I said, I didn't really, he kind of did his thing. Our stuff was only on the truck. So he had a cool little truck. Nice, sweet little compact truck. Worked out really good. I forget what it was. I'll eventually show some video footage of it. I did get some better. Are we better? Are we better for the not breaking up? So Rusty was asking, what did it cost versus the Wayne Dalton? I can tell you it's better. It's a lot better. Basically, kind of in a nutshell, I've never seen anybody beat Menards Prices. And they smoked Menards Prices, and they are better quality. So, and you get more material, better struts. So, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed. Bottom seal. I forgot to show you the bottom seal. We'll go out there in a minute because it's a little warm here, a little stuffy. Let's take a look here. So this one obviously was the vinyl back. This is the one that's actually going to get installed for a customer. This is just a stock. But, you know, I know this can be a little goofy sometimes, but it looks like one already broke down there, and that one already popped right out, so that shouldn't be too bad. It's got the standard T, right? I like that, just like standard. I know they even advertise, it sounds like, on the website, you know, but that's nice. We got some in there? Or is that to hold it on? That's to hold it on. Look at this, too close. I don't know, but that's nice. That is nice. Nice torsion tube. Looks like a nice solid one. You know, not something that's real skinny. Like I said, only thing that'd be a little goofy for us is this. That's the only thing. It is nice, though. Like I say, you can see the ribs on the backside. It's got a nice feel to it and stuff. But, man, I could see us breaking this, snapping this. I don't know. I don't know if it's more of a cost savings. There's a huge benefit to it. It goes over existing nails or something. Like I said, we're just not used to it. We're just not used to it. We're used to this kind of stuff. The solid. This is a taupe one, I think. Okay, I can really see it that best. It's there, though. Solid stuff. I can hit it with a nailer. Good looking, though. Good looking. Good feel to it. Feels nice. I mean, not real thin and, you know, bending a lot. Like I said, solid. That's solid. It's riveted. Put your track together, that's fine. Got a pretty long piece of L shape in there. What did we do? I thought one of them, are they both 15s? That definitely, that looks more like a 12 to me. So maybe the track got goofed up because I know that door's got a man door. So it's got to get a little 15. 15's the magic number. Oh, man. Where are we at? Oh, let's grab a drink. Let's grab a drink, shall we? And don't forget, like I said, I was kind of, we lost connection yesterday with, was it Austin? Yeah, it was a good conversation last night. What time is it now? 9? Oh, yeah. Check out the comments. Oh, the water's already in there. Where's West hiding? So super impressed. Super impressed. Got up here lickety split. I think we ordered it like, I think it was only like 2 days and the order got here. And then, like I said, it was funny because like when I called the lady, I was like, "You guys got brown?" All our manufacturers. Oh, we can get it, but it's 2 to 3 weeks. And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "We stock that." And I'm like, "You stock brown? What? How can this be?" More tracks. More tracks in the rafters. I know we got a lot. We got busted one time for the fire marshal. They did this whole pointing fingers at inspector, and then it never turned into nothing. Hey, we got 8 likes too. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. Oh, having some pizza? I wonder what kind of pizza they got up there in Canada. They got like Domino's, Pizza Hut. Maybe we'll have to ask him. Don't let me forget. See what kind of pizza he had. Or maybe it's just a local place. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. Maybe it's cheap. I wonder how much a pizza costs. Anything up there is not cheap compared down here. Fire. Oh, we got Miller here. What's up, Miller? It's been a minute. Howdy. Like my doors. This is that kit come with the door. Who's the manufacturer? Rich can put it in there if he wants. No, that's what they have. Kevin said hi. They got that little cool push brand. He says I'm not. Oh, you have the hollow seal handle. Got it. 2 struts, which is good. Yes. Ends and middle. Nice. Who's the driver? You're breaking up with did cost versus the Wayne Dalton. Better tuck and roll. Oh yeah, tuck and roll for the bottom seal. It's a good idea. That's why we norm, gives a little more cushion right there where the concrete always kind of. Sometimes I got competition too. Sometimes I don't say too much. So that. A customer called me with a Menards price. Could I match it? They are charging the same price as I get them. I've never been able to find anybody that could beat Menards prices. And then if you even got close, because I always figured if you were, through any of our vendors, you always had to add basically, it was always like, so my cutthroat, like middle of the night, can't get a hold of the secretary because obviously it's midnight. Like I got to get this price out. Done it many a times. If these walls talk. Sorry, I'm still stuffy. But Menards, like I said, has gotten so much now on their website. I mean, you used to kind of dig for it. Well, now you can go on there, and I used to just basically say, okay, I look at the price. Don't forget to add sales tax, because probably not having sales down there. That always screwed me up when I used to go in for roofing or garage doors, until you go to the checkout, like, what? It's going to be another 20 or 30 or 60. What? You're like, well, that just ain't into my profit. But anywho, you just add $100. You know what I mean? And normally that was kind of the normal. Nowadays, it might be about $100, $200 is what you're going to find from your vendors typically. But, and then also because what it was is I was upgrading certain things, maybe better rollers or just our vendors, they provide better quality to some degree. But I never found anybody that was actually cheaper. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I can't compare the ones for Menards. Typically, they, I'd have people walking this door all the time. They come in here, well, I need a price on a door, and that's always the fun part about the business you're up against. And I'd give them a price, and they go, well, I can get it $100 cheaper at Menards, and I'm like, yep, like you can. And I said, but the thing is, I said, at the time, our service calls were around $65, $85. I can't remember exactly which one it was. But I would tell them, I say, by the time you pay for a service call, we're not warrantying it. I said, so we install the door. I said, if something fails on it, we got to come back. I said, that's, let's say $85. Are you really? And some people would go, yeah, you're right. Or some people would go, I'll get back to you, let you know. And they wouldn't get back to you or whatever. Is that he says is junk, says Kevin. Yeah, I'll have to use it. I'll burn it up. I have to be careful. I'm never a big fan of the handbangers because what I've noticed too is like I'll go through and I'll pre-nail all that stuff, right? Them all started. And for whatever reason, like you go to drag it and if it flips, boy, it drags hard and it just feels wrong. It's like nails across the paint of a car. That's what it feels like to me. Like when you're dragging. Or I've had it sometimes like when you're trying to put it up and you're if it's a long piece and it kind of somehow flaps, and it kind of whop hits the door and it's like, oh, it's like, dang it, that thing's got nails in it. Like I think about like the movies, with a bad dude with like a baseball bat and he's got the spikes, the nails in there and he's like going to claw you over the head. That's what it reminds me of. So I'm normally not a fan of the handbangers. Like I said, a lot of guys, like I said, they work. There's no wrong, right, or indifferent. It's a preference. And for us, we just never had that problem, with contractors or too many nails or callbacks because they're rusted. Normally the door is starting to get kind of nasty before the screws or the nails. What's the date today? 8th. Ooh. Checking out the agenda here. Father Dave says we stock different color trim. Sometimes we get walk-ins, or I use it when I need extra. No, that's a good idea, Rusty, because honestly, you know, that's kind of a nice it's kind of a nice selling point. I used to I don't think we have much. Let's go take a look, because I need to like snot some nose up here or something. Or let's take a look here. So we got some up there, different colors. But I used to I'd make sure we always those, because like this would throw us off, right? Like if we break this brown, I don't know if quite enough brown to make it happen. You can see, I think that's a black one up there. It's even a different style. Let me show you. Look at this thing. Look at that. That's a different style. So we'd be so we got to be extra careful doing that seal. But if you're new, you're green, that's always a good idea, because like I said, I don't think Menards stocks brown. I never can remember which store. Like, it's like only when I'm in there getting trim for like a rental or something, and like they're like be like do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, they got 16-foot white perimeter seal. You know, I'm like, try to remember that. You know, like, this is a place to go if you ever need it. Because I had a buddy, he called me and was asking for some, and where he lived and stuff, it was easier and quicker. And I said, hey, I know Menards stocks some of it. I think they got 16. I said, let me check or something. But so yeah, so it's not a bad idea to have some of that too, because like I said, you might have something where you could sell to a customer if they call you and they're in a pinch, and you might be able to charge a little more premium, you know. You can walk in, use it. Oh, Rich Bees, I got call Kevin. He said 6. Kevin was nice enough. He gave us a few pens too, so that was nice. I have to see. You have to ask Kevin, or if I get a chance, tell him, see if he's got hats. I was gonna look up online, see if I could just see him old ones, because you know, I like to give credit where credit is due, and they do a good job. I'm impressed, and I'm also, you know, very thankful. Thank you very much, Rich B, for recommending it, because hopefully we can break ice, and I can get these guys to start. You know, they're gonna like it. I see why not. Besides the weather seal, they're solid. I was literally thinking today about Dalton WD, call it what WD, and I was thinking, you know how you play like these mind games. I'm probably the only one. I'm a weirdo, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, you idiot. I was like, you know, you could just stick with the 8,000 series doors. And I was like, those would probably have the better bottom seal on them. And I was like, no, you don't, you idiot. And I was like, well, yeah, because I got the 9,000. And I was like, no. I was like, that's what you've been struggling with. I was like, you can buy non-insulated 8,000 series door, and it will come with a standard bottom seal. And I think I can't remember if their bottom seals with a T or comes with that silly round stuff, but that round stuff has a tendency to fall out. And I was like, no, you can't. I was like, if you go even with an 83, I think if you go with an 81 is what it used to be, the 8100, maybe an 82, that would be like that door out there. But regardless, it's always got that stinking bottom plastic thing that's annoying. Call Clopay and pick up in 30 minutes. But this is delivered. This is delivery. No, just has to be scheduled a day. It has to be scheduled a day or two ahead. He says, how big is your building name? I don't really know. I don't know if it's like 36 by, I don't know. It's a box, so I don't know what the exact size of it is. I never really measured it. Not super big. You said before you would like building another. What are you waiting for? Oh man, what am I waiting for? Psh, waiting for those big bucks. The township we are in is actually one of the worst townships in our probably side of the state. They were the first known county or city. They brag about it, but they have a lot of I hired a guy, right? I mean, I'll show you. I think it's still daylight out, right? I had a worker. Oh, it's getting dark out. Just crack this puppy open. Oh, nice out here, though. There's a sign out here, right? Our sign by the road. Let's show you. Neighbor guy's picking up. He's got all his cars out here. This guy is the coolest dude. He's had the man. He's had the Elvis suit. He's got a lot of Johnny Cash stuff, gun from Johnny Cash. He's actually got the, I don't know if he's still got it, but he had the original birth certificate of Elvis. He showed it to me. I mean, this dude's got a lot of stuff. Batmobile, the first Batmobile in the movies. He's normally always got some. I don't remember what it costs, right? But I do remember the install. And this company does a lot of them. And this company, I said, well, how much I said to install that sign? You know? He says $75. And I was like, it's like $75. I was like, I couldn't money out fast enough. Anywho, I had a worker one day. We're here chatting. He don't work anymore. And he's like, he goes, hey man, he goes, I see that sign. They dropped it off before they were installing it. And he said, I see that sign out there. He's like, you want to go out there? You want to install it? He's like, I got a shovel. And I'm like, and I told him, I said, dude, I said, hell no. I said, we ain't installing that sign. I said, I know this township. Anyways, the sign's sitting for, I don't know, 3-4 days or something, you know. Kind of like, man, what's going on with this thing, you know? So I called the guy and I said, hey, I'm checking on the sign, you know. I said, are you going to get it, you know, installed, or is there, you know, is there a problem? He goes, oh my gosh. He goes, I have never had so much trouble with the township. He goes, we have to have an inspector come out when we dig. We have to put footings down. He said we have to do another inspection after when we bury it. And I'm just like, I'm just like, oh man. You know, and I mean, I genuinely felt bad, but I was kind of in my brain, I'm laughing because that's why I was like, when he told me $75, I said, oh hell, please. I said, please go. So this township is a real big pain in the butt. So it's easier to have storage. Other places, it's easier storage, like either enclosed trailers. So to build something, then they're going to tax you on it. There was a company, I think it was called K&L, right? They used to make the kayaks for all of Walmarts around the whole country. And they used to get away. They had property a couple roads over, a huge semis in there. And the guy stored all the kayaks they built in those semi trucks. They were older semi trailers, not semi trucks, the trailers. They would never go back down the road again. They could still move, but they're you know, weren't road worthy anymore really. And I don't think the township really liked it. He was in an industrial area, but he found a loophole, because he told me one time, I met him at a restaurant, and he said, oh yeah, he goes, you know how much it would cost me in taxes? He says, to build that building. So that's kind of some of the summary. Like I said, the township real jerks. Like even when we first came in here, I called the gas company, I called the electrical company, I called the Comcast, and I remember the guy that used to be in charge. Now we're kind of my friends. Kind of weird. He's another township though. And he called, you know, I was on the phone with him, asking him something, and he was just, you know, that's what a lot of guys don't see behind the scenes. That's why I choose for those young guys, right? Like they just, you know, well, you might get neutered. And so I remember the guy told me, he just kind of like cursed me out on the phone. He's just like, I know what you're doing down there. Like talk to me like my grandpa. My grandpa was always a kind of a grumpy butt. And I'm like, okay, like, and he's like, I know you're working out of that trailer. And he's like, you're getting Comcast. And I said, oh, okay. I mean, you know, I called Comcast. They need to do whatever they need to do because they were across the road to bring the internet. They had to get a drilling company, go dig, you know, under. I mean, I would assume they know what they're doing. They're the internet company, like, you know. And so, oh man, so it's like, I still kind of got PTSD. You know what I mean? Eventually, maybe, or it might just be easier to move because there was a mechanic guy down the road. He ended up moving into the next township over, and it was a lot easier for him. Right, she says, bang the nails. You can get nails from them. All the colors. Ooh, they're a little heavier, a heavy gauge. Really? Well, that's good. Not sure on the hats. I just curious. You know, I didn't know. I just curious. 75 bucks. Dave Rusty price list. I'll have to send it to him. I'll try to send it to him. I got it in 2 different places, I think. What's the price for those doors? Rusty's guy says, hoping Tony was on tonight. Waiting for him to tell you what he's charging for spring repair. He made me. Did he get a good one? Did he charge a good one on that one? I gotta get sleepy pill activated. I'm still trying to get over this sickness. I just got this thing. I finally got some. I had to go to the underground, but I got some Panadol finally. Nobody's got a home remedy. I don't know. Tried even honey. I guess honey tried to help. Her honey will help break it up too. Yeah, because like, what was this? I think the one door out there was 7. Gosh, I wish I had. No, got it. I think it's 712. I think is what it was. What's that? What is that? See, we got, what, about 11 people? We got 8 likes. Maybe we can get it up to 10. And like I said, if you guys are cruising through too, any new guys or whatever too, more want to ask questions. We always typically have a good group of guys here that'll help you out. And if we don't know, we typically will find out for you, you know, type of thing. So that works out good. I was kind of thinking too, you know, I was thinking, you know, it's, I was just sitting here. I was just thinking about what Russ said, you know, the building. And it's kind of one of those things. Sometimes like you I don't know if this kind of relates to anybody, but I just feel like it's something that should be said because I'm sure there's not a lot of people that talk about certain things. You know, they give you all the glorious and the hype but in business, I think it can go across a lot of businesses. You know, that's why I always kind of talk about the whole neuter thing a little bit because, you know, I was thinking about it and this is just my opinion, right? Anytime you accumulate anything in your life, it could be anything. It could be a bigger house, you have to feed that thing, right? You have to take care of that thing. You have to nurture that thing. And then when look now and I see how much I don't know how to really say it, corruption, right? Like now that I understand the system too, where, you know, like houses go up in prices and stuff like that. I feel like anyways, I understand why people don't get or don't understand generational wealth. Because you know, like when you think about it, like when you house and you flip a house or you sell a house, right? And the prices keep going up. That's better for the township, better for the bank. There's a lot of things that stem from it. You know what I mean? And that's what I talk about a lot about on the channel. Why I always like, you know, I like stuff that's kind of more in your pocket. Now there's certain, obviously, a little clip today. Somehow I got a little Chinese. This guy was a foreigner. You know, and I'm watching, and the guy's like, dude, he's like, look at and they got a whole bus system, whatever you call it, a rack or whatever, over the street where they're driving, and it's so many cameras on it. And he's like, basically explaining they were able to tell because he had a tour guide. They were able to tell, even though he was wearing a helmet, they could identify that was that tour guy or whatever, and they were stopping that guy because he had something with unpaid fines or something like that. And I thought, wow, I went that nuts. You know, with all the camera systems and, you know, I kept thinking, gosh, that's getting to be like here. And more I'm watching cop videos. I cop videos, I don't know why. You know, I see how like they tracked through like 4 or 6 states and they got him through the license plate readers. You know, that's how they knew where he was heading to. And I'm like, kind of like yay and nay, like, you know, like, no, I don't know. Tony's in the house. Oh, burning sage, home remedy. Oh, really? I never heard of that. Today, Headacutter asked me to bid on install only. They furnish. They wanted to pay $1,100 to install 18 by 8, 8 by 8, and one opener. I have to call him tomorrow and tell them not a chance. $1,100. Yeah, I mean, you figure it's what, 5 weeks? Yeah. $1,100. Yeah. I mean, somebody out there will do it. I mean, like for Caleb, that'd be smoking great money. You know what I mean? Like somebody with low overhead. I mean, you think about like a normal Joe, right? I mean, that's not bad. I mean, let's say it even just takes you takes you 2 days. I mean, that's pretty good money. You know, I mean, that's somebody's typically for, that's like 2 weeks of pay, So tell me to find a sub. No, there won't be no money for you. Tony says, I'm here. Quick fix garage doors. They're only 16 feet. Do you guys get 16 feet 2 door or even larger? Or even larger. So you're talking 16 foot 2? I guess it all depends. Normally you fur it out. You know what I mean? Like you'll build the jams in a little bit. You know what I mean? Your weather seal will come in too, so that adds what, like almost an inch, because you got a half roughly on each side if you equal out your door. I can't say on a residential I've ever done 16.2 to get past it. I might have did one on my house, but that was 18 by 8. I might have just did it because I wanted like extra seal. How much, Tony? Was this, is it cutest cats? That's pretty cool. Is that like hello but meow? No. Yo, man, 500. He says, Rusty says, quick fix. He says, only if you're mounting to steel. Correct. Normally you only do the 16.2, 12.2, 10.2. If you're mounting to red steel or something like that. What'd I miss? What you miss? Evan, what's pizza? What kind of pizza? Is it good? Is it cheap? Is it local? Is it, you got a Pizza Hut up there? What kind you got, man? Do you got the same stuff around here? Domino's up there? Little Caesars? Little Caesars up there? That's our Little Caesars, Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's. I don't know if Papa John's still out there. Who else am I forgetting? I think that's about it. Tony is the most expensive guy in this area now. It's 590 to you, Russ. I wanted you to say it. Nice. So I'm Tony now. What's this? Let's see here. Kevin, he's quick fix. You could, but you need the wider jams. Yeah, that's true. $13.50, Rich. Is that for the 2 doors and the opener? Do it for $13.50. Estimated between 5 and 6 if I were to do it. Yeah, I mean that'd be on the extreme side. Like our builders around here are pretty. There's just no way. No way. I was gonna charge him $200 to fix his gate, and he like looked at me cross-eyed. I was like, dude, I gotta take your gate down to the shop. I gotta cut it. I gotta weld it. I'm like, or I can get you a new gate for 600. That was a gate though. That was years ago. I seen he's doing something. He's building something, or whatever. He's got all kinds of little, and he's ran. What the funny part, a lot of guys out. But what his game is because I seen a house. This was quite a while ago being built, and the driveway was super steep. And I mean, you know how it's like one of those things in life you look at and but like nobody to talk to about. Like, your wife's not going to really understand. I mean, she kind of agrees with you, but like you're like, golly, why is that? Like, you think you know why, but you don't know why. And you're like, why is the driveway like up to the garage? And somehow through the grapevines, I think I had to have something dropped off somewhere, some sand or something. And I was talking to the excavator. Somehow we came across that builder, and he goes, oh yeah, he goes, that guy, he built that house, he says, down that one road. And I said, yeah. I said, dude, what is up with that driveway? He goes, because he don't want to pay more fill. And I'm like, really? I said, dude, that driveway's horrendous. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, I used to work for him. And he says, who's the place? And I said, gosh, I don't know. I said, I think the place I seen was it 3 or 4 cities over. And he says, yeah. He goes, I won't work for him anymore. And he said, he that's what he does. He says he runs everybody out of town. And then he says he'll keep going to outskirts. And so I guess kind of what a good point of the story is that that's what happens sometimes with you guys, that if you're getting somebody, that's calling you, that's a couple cities over or whatever, a couple towns, whatever, and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like, this is a builder, this is great, well, slow down. How long has this guy been in business? He says he's been in business for 20 years. What I'm getting at is a lot of these builders and people in general, right? They like to fluff their others, and they drive the super nice truck. They got the model next to them, and you're like, yes, sir. Well, you don't realize that you're the 10th or 20th person. Now they're to you, and they want to screw you. So it's just something to think about, because I'll give you an example, since the hotlines aren't too busy right now. I had a guy, this was a builder, he called me out of the blue. It was called Boone. I think Boone Construction or something like that. I don't know if it's still around. I don't really care. He screwed me over. And this guy called me up out of the blue. Secretary answered, said, hey, I think you might want to talk to this guy. All right. So I pick up the phone, I'm talking, right? This guy's like, hey, I need these garage doors, okay? So I can send you over a drawing. He says, but if you can get them within like right around, like 3 or 4 weeks. And I was like, this is all obviously before the go in the id. And I'm like those sizes, like and need a certain R value, dude, like we got this in a bag. Like they'll be here in a week or two. Like, so whatever he told me, 3 or 4 weeks, I'm like, he's like, and he told me, he goes, if you can get them within weeks or whatever, he's like, I'll add on another $500. And I'm like, all right, we'll see what we can do. I'm like, I'm game. Now, I ordered them, and I screwed up because I didn't get half. So I remember, everything was going fine, and then you're laying in bed, right? Especially when you run business, especially when you're running business, your brain, you're spinning plates. And I remember it dawned on me, shoot, I don't want that stuff. I don't want those doors coming to the shop. Holy crap. Because the job was about an hour and 15, hour and 30 minutes one way. And I was like, oh, I don't want those coming to the shop. We got to haul them all the way up there and stuff. Shoot, already on a truck. So I made the phone call the next morning. Hey, what would it take? Well, it's going to take a little shuffling around, because I did it towards the end of the order. It happened. But here's the problem. We can only get there at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, all right. I'm already, going to be working late tonight. Very sleep. I got to book it up there in the morning, but it's okay, because I got a Ford Raptor. You know what I mean? So first thing in the morning, right? Got the drink, right? Got the 6.2 liter V8 purring away down the highway. I get up there. We unload the truck. I realize that Obviously, the builder's probably not going to be here yet because it's early in the morning. I got 20 other jobs I got to go to. I got guys in the morning I got to talk to. I got to get them directed where to go to because I got so many things on my plate now, and so I flew back and I thought I'll get up there or I'll, the job. But what got me, right, when I first got that job, I was like, why the hell is the walls up? The walls, all of them's up, but not the ceiling, the roof. I thought every builder I've ever worked for, always roof is the first, then the walls. And I thought, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they know, I know. So anyways, I've told this story before. Things went south. Builder didn't pay. I got $10,000 of material sitting at this job. I'm freaking out. I'm stressing out. I'm trying to figure out who I'm gonna get a group of guys to go, whatever it is, 800 feet into the woods, and we're gonna send stuff off the side of the road, or in the building, get my stuff back, and then have to deal with cops. And then who's gonna actually go to jail? It's probably gonna be me. You know what I mean? Because I gotta say, these guys, it wasn't their plan, it was mine. Or maybe we're all going. You know what I mean? And then who's paying for all that? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, oh man. Wider 13 estimate between. No local. He says Domino's today. Stuffed crust? Oh yeah, dude. I love the stuffed crust. That's like the best part. I just want like stuffed crust. Like I don't want the rest of it most times. It's like, can I just have a stuffed crust? Going back tomorrow to that job that I on their back door. He says they wanted me to work on 3 commercial doors tomorrow. I have a 16x7 to install. Busy day on a Friday. Why so much on Friday? The traffic's going to be crappy on Friday too. I get a load of this Hope. What does it says? Grow up in my hometown. The new Pope. I thought didn't they like let smoke stack or something. I don't really follow that too much. Rustes. He says now you see. He says they didn't care about price. Yeah, the only reason they didn't care about price is because they were gonna screw you over. Because what happened too is we ended up. I go up there, right? Did my thing. Well, I didn't get paid. I send the guys up there. I'm like, how can I orchestrate this so these guys will just get the job done? Like, this is just, here we go again. Like I said, I've had a lot of practice with this. There's a lot of practice with being a long distance loser, and I absolutely hate being a long distance loser. I hate distance. Hate it with a passion. And so I remember I had 2 guys that were, one had already 10 years more experience on me that he wasn't. They don't work here. And then I had another guy that okay, but he just kind of hot-headed. So I told the one guy, because I figured he was going to be the kind of lead guy, right? I said, hey, how about we do this? I said, I already figured out how many doors is there. I said, it would take you a full week. I said, it probably is about 3, what I'm getting at is it was probably about 3 to 4 days, realistically, if you're working. That's if you're putting in, 8 to 10 hours. But I said, if you get the doors done, I said, I'll pay you for the whole week. And I mean, he was just, oh my God, heck yeah. He says, I'm game for that. He says, we could have a long weekend. He's like, we'll sleep in the truck. And I'm like, I'm not saying you got to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, can you, like, if you get it done, even if you get done half a day Friday or whatever, go home. Or you get done Thursday night, it's one of those, if you're there Thursday and only it's going to take you 2 more hours, just wrap it up. And you get Friday off and you get paid. So he was all game, whatever, right? And a lot of people sometimes with commission, this is why sometimes, I used to pay for GPS, right? You pay for GPS in the truck because they don't call you. But when you're dealing with the phones and you got estimates and you got customers and you're putting out all these fires, I set him up. I'm still here at the shop, sitting right where I was. He walks in the door and I'm like sitting there like on the phone, like staring at him. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, we don't got cell phones? You couldn't call? What the hell are you doing here? Like, I don't understand. Did somebody die? Like, did you just never leave? And I'm just losing it. And I guess he did that to me twice. Maybe I'll tell a story too. But anyways, he comes in, he's like, they shut the job down. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, we get up there. The guy is one of the workers there, said, can't do any work. They shut the job down. They got a dispute or something going on. So he said, we couldn't work. We had to come back. And I'm like, now it's like, you turn into the other mode. Well, crap. What I already scheduled you guys for the whole, now it's like you're on the phone. Mayday, 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 we're going down. What are we gonna, who do we call this customer, see if we can get this door installed, because this has got to get done. Oh, maybe I'll send you over to this job. Oh, shoot, we ain't got concrete. We ain't got, oh. So anywho, I call the builder, right? I said, hey, I said, supposedly the job got shut down. And he goes, yeah. He goes, that happens a lot. He goes on the phone, mind you, I'm talking to him. He goes, that's how I get extra money out of them. That was my, like I said, I always have flags. I have a green flag, I have a yellow flag, and then I have a red flag. So I already, now, the flag's up. And I'm like, I've never heard anybody say that. That's how I get extra money out of them. So now I'm like, I've been down this, I am not playing this game. So I ended up, I called up there, called their office, right? Of course, I get there's like two secretaries. Well, there's the main lady, and then there's the secretary. Of course, can I talk to the main lady? No. I can hear her in the background, though. And I remember because I told her, I said, hey, I said, our material's up there. And the lady said, well, it sounds like she doesn't want anybody coming on the job site. And I literally heard her in the background just saying secretary on the phone. I could hear her, She said, you just tell him where that stuff is sitting, it can stay right where it's at. And I'm like, oh, we're so screwed. And I trying to explain to the secretary, I said, ma'am, I said, here's the thing. I said, there's no roof on this. I said, all our material is going to get sopping wet. The boxes, the cardboard, springs are going to rust. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But there's nobody allowed on the job site and until further notice. Like, oh, I just dropped $10,000 of material off. So first thing I did is I called my attorney, and we put a material lien on it. So that was a good thing, because then the builder that came in, we got their attention, and then we ended up still doing it. But of course, all our stuff was moved around. Stuff was damaged, dented. Stuff was rusty. Yeah. Oh, anywho, I don't think the hotline's too busy. So that guy, right, that worker, I sent him up to it's basically it's Ludington, Michigan, if anybody's ever been there. But I sent him up to Ludington. He does a door or something, an opener for, maybe it was a Lowe's job, I can't remember. He drives all the way back. I remember this that's like, I kind of like surprises. I just don't. But I remember he came back, and he comes in the door. And so I'm assuming he's done, right? I'm like, it's about in the right time frame he should be for what he did for the day. He went up, did an opener or whatever. He sits down, normal, right? How'd it go? And first thing comes out of him, he goes, you're going to have to go back with me Saturday, tomorrow. And I'm like, now, mind you, on the Saturday, I'd like to spend some time with my family. I'm already putting 14 to 17 hours in this place. And I'm like, so what inclination why do we got to go back Saturday? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, it keeps getting jammed up. And I'm just kind of like, my eyes start doing this kind of like cross-eyed, like, and no, this wasn't so many years ago. Cell phones were very present. And we have nowadays is called the smartphone. And like I always say, there's a lot of, we got a lot of smartphones, but there's a lot of dummies using them. And so I said, why didn't you call me? And he goes, oh, I don't think you would be able to figure it out. I said, take some pictures. We'll just go up there back there Saturday. Now, mind you, I'm going to pay him for Saturday too. And I'm like, okay, all right. So let the wife know, hey, Saturday's plans are pretty much off. I got to go up to work, blah, blah. So we go up there. It was literally the Jbar. He cut the Jbar. But sometimes when you cut, if you don't cut the ends, like, on a Jbar, it's smooth, right? Rounded. It gets jammed up. If you're putting it on like an operator, a GDO bracket, or opener bracket, it'll get jammed up and it'll do funny things. And so we got up there. I pulled the disconnect. I mimicked, the door, moved it. I could tell exactly. I took the J arm off, rant with a couple of thing grinder, Put it back on. It worked. And I mean, he was kind of like, that was it? And I was like, that was it, dude. Like, if you would have called me and told me probably what it was doing, this was a very common thing. And if you would have told me, like, you cut the jam, even if you would have took a picture and said, this is what it's doing, I think we were right on the fence of kind of the FaceTime in that era, you know, but maybe a Google Skype type thing. I don't know, but just pictures, I could have probably helped you out. Hey, make sure you check this. You know what I mean? I've had this problem before. Nope. Nope. He just took it upon himself to drive all the way back without a phone call. See, Rich B. Is he the younger one? Rich says he's 69. Oh, yeah, he's the American one. Crazy. No, I was talking about Mr. 590. Well, we have to let Tony. Tony's got to weigh in on that, right? Because I'm assuming if he goes around and tells people it's going to be $600 or $1,200, you know, he's not going to get it. It is a very, you know, it is a very true statement, right? That you, but I mean, it's like I sometimes think about that whole thing and I go, you know, like I know when people shop on Amazon, they don't just go, I'm going to pick the most expensive one, unless there's quality into it of some sort that they know. Or like you go shop for a car, right? Because you know a car is a car at this dealership, same car at another dealership. You know, so there's certain things. There is service. There is a service. It's like right now, I think the new oil changes around this area, I see they used to be, it was expensive. Oil changes are expensive, but now they're offering like, I don't know, it was 29 or 39 oil changes. You know darn well those are going to be piles of poo-poo. Essentially, they're lowering. So, but like I said, it's not that you can't get certain people, but and he knows what's on there. Never would imagine that. He says it is Rich. Austin made it. Oh man, sweet. I was bummed that we lost you. Or all me. We were having some good stuff. Austin, he says, can you summarize how you started your business, how it evolved to where it is now? Did you work for a door company? No, business partner basically worked for a door company. I always had a vision of doing a business, so I was kind of like the hardcore worker. He was kind of more the lazy guy in a sense. He could do stuff and he did stuff and he was electrically smart, but he basically wanted to work from 9 to 2. His like probably more like 10 to 2. He never wanted to put effort in. Our big thing is that for us when we started out back in 2006. 2006 was amazing. It was probably like the only thing I can tell you what to experience it like was when we had COVID, right? COVID, you couldn't get nothing, right? People just gobbling up, you know, the paper and cars. And I mean, you could list anything on Facebook on the market and it just boom, sold. I sold 2 vehicles that I had for multiple years that I added, you know, probably 50 to 60,000 miles onto them, whatever. And I sold for $2,500 more than I ever purchased for them. Just that's unbelievable, unbelievable. So that 6 was like for us, you know, when we started in 06, we could walk into a Home Depot with just a shirt on, something on your back, whatever, and contractors and people just tapping you all day. All you had to do, like, all I would have to do is go to the box store and literally walk around, and people would be like, hey, you know, hey, do you do garage doors? And it's like, yeah. And like, well, like, could you come out and look at this? Could you like, how long would it take? And I'm like, we could be there in a couple days, or we could be there tomorrow, or we could get that probably installed in like 2 weeks. And they were like, what? Like, please, like, oh my gosh, my other garage door guy is like 6 to like 12 weeks out. Like, you know, so it was just an amazing time, right? It was easy. The market was just booming. And, so we did good. We were basically I was driven. I went into a lot of commercial and shook hands with guys, and they, you know, there was a plethora around here of very saturated garage door companies that were very old And I guess what, sometimes we've turned into a little bit on the lazy side, right? Just not the anxious type anymore. So it was kind of easy to get into these places to some degree because they were just kind of not getting good service. So we were 50-50, 50 residential, 50, basically 50 commercial, what we were doing at the time. Just me and another guy, me and my business partner. And boom, baby. The '07, the '08 happened. And I remember that was horrible, man. It was hard times. I remember, we didn't have a lot of money stashed. I mean, we were working between sometimes $2,000 to $3,000 in the bank account, and we weren't real good. Like we were like cutting ourselves like a check for $300-400. It's like, what do you want this week? It's like I got some bills. You want pretty good. So cut me 300, you do 300. That's even. And so we were just kind of going right. Well, I was going through a divorce, and so I ended up renting my house. I was staying in the garage. And that was kind of nice until she called bankruptcy and all that kind of stuff. But anywho, so then the stock market, I remember watching the stock market. I'll never forget. I just watched the stock market. Oh my gosh, every day, stock market, boom, 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 just going down, down, down. And it was amazing. That was a whole wake up call. That's when I really realized how most people, that's why they always say whoever controls the media controls the masses. And because residential just in our area tanked, just absolutely tanked. We'd have, maybe 6 to 10 calls a week to we might get 1 or 2 a week. And we go to places and we tell them like, look, this needs this or this needs to be replaced. And they were just like, we ain't got the money. The car can just be parked outside. And it took a good 5 years. I remember it was about 5 years of going through that economic pain that all of a sudden the media started changing, right? Starting to say, it was kind of like a little bit of a pulse on a pain, right? Boop, 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 boop. And the media was changing. And people started like, we were going to jobs and I was like, man, you need to replace your door like this many years ago. And they're like, oh, well, we know, but it was either get the garage door fixed or get a roof on the house. And we decided to put a roof. Good choice. Or make a car payment, so we got a car to go back to work or, a garage door, we'll park outside. So that was a super big wake up call. And that's why I'm always kind of cautious for new guys that it's like, you need to have a plethora of money because so when that happened, we got with a commercial guy that did a lot of gas companies, a whole west side of our state. And this was one of those great customers. We were trying to screw them, but we were very fair. Any price we do, when we hopped in the truck, we'd start the billing. We'd start it for like $65 a guy or something like that, and they'd pay it, right? It was through another company. It was through a fence company. And all of a sudden, I didn't realize, but we got up to about $10,000. And I remember my business partner told me, he said, hey, he goes, we can't do no more service calls for this guy. And I said, what? I said, this is a great customer. I said, sometimes we just go out there, we can drive, we see the whole west side of the state. I said, we flip a switch and we get paid for it. And, they always pay. And he's like, no. And I'm like, I heard, 10,000. I couldn't even believe it because at the time, right, money's just flying in, right? And so I called him and I found out, the long story short, he ended up sexually molesting his daughter. He was going to go to prison. So we were going to get paid. Well, now we had a $10,000 bill that we owed Gatco. Am I saying that right? Gatco? I think it was Gratco. It was Horn, basically. So we can't really pay that. And they were generous enough to work with us that for every dollar, they would charge $1. So we could still at least buy product and still keep working to pay off that. But times were tough. Times were super tough. My partner, he had to go back to where he came from working. I had like 3 jobs. Like I was working here all by myself, to pay off this debt. I didn't know this at the time because I was young. I didn't know this was ever going to end. It's like you're always focused on right now. And I just worked my hiney off, man. And I was working like 2 other part-time jobs. I was working shift doing produce at a grocery store. I was working for the city doing plowing and stuff. Man, tough. And there was even a time I went back to an old job, a factory job, and I didn't last long there. I hated that job. Yeah, so in a nutshell, it's just 06, it was great. Just great. You just sneeze. You know what I mean? And people do it. Where even now, it's not as lush as it was. Now, when COVID was going on, you'd be a multimillionaire if you had a stockpile of doors. You know what I mean? And you could provide the service too. You know what I mean? It was nobody could get the products, and it was people when they did that stimmy money. I never would have thought with that stimulus money, the market would have just. I mean, people were just multimillionaires overnight. You know what I mean? I'm joking about that, but they just had so much money to spend. You know what I mean? Cars, the maintenance place around here, the tire shops around here, just full. You know what I mean? Anything you list for sale. I mean, I remember I was looking at stuff too, like enclosed trailers, like within like 30 minutes, sold. I'm like, fudge. Sorry, I went on a tantrum. Leave off, Tony. What's it got, Rusty? Couldn't let Tony beat me, so I charged $6.35 later this afternoon. Austin, I did. When just joined. Tony says, only had my business for 3 years, but been doing garage doors for 20. 7729 says hi. Hello. Thanks for saying hello. Tony says 10 for 10, Dave. Awesome. What do we got? Yeah. Was it you? 7729? What's this redirected? It says Austin, my father started our business in 1989. And I have been doing it for over 25 years. Says, that's why I have inventory because of COVID. All my profit, maybe not all, but a lot of is sitting in the shop. What's up, Mr. Freeze? COVID was wild, man. COVID was wild. I mean, I kind of like had that sneaky suspicion, you know. I'm still really struggling. So, and if anybody kind of finds a video, somebody can email me, or if anybody's got any input on it, go for it. But I was literally thinking about, I'm listening to I guess, you know, it's basically the Federal Reserve held interest rates, right? And I was kind of listening to a guy, and it's making my brain think, you know, and I you know, my opinion, right? They're not going to get us back down to 2%. That's not they need to keep growing. And I kept thinking, who runs this show? You know, like why our ancestors or whatever, the founders, like they didn't want central banks. And we have central banks. You know, it's just like the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not federal. It's actually, it's a combination of obviously whoever, the Rockefellers, the JP Morgans. And, you know, now they got their ammunition, right? That's why I don't know for sure, in my opinion. I think the cough was to get the ammunition back up there to get their interest rates, because we were down at like basically zero. So they got it up, right? They don't want to bring it down. They brought it faster than they're going to ever bring it down, probably. And, you know, there's just something to it. And then they keep talking about with all the tariffs, that's what's making stuff inflate. That's not even 100% even happened, right? So it's kind of weird, you know, and it's like, I don't quite understand it. You know, I wish I did, but I think I know. It's that, what is it? It's one big club and you're not a part of it, you know, type of thing. I agree. I see. Free says COVID. He says, yeah, that's why, you know, like for me, just my opinion. For me, it all started with actually the 9 and the 1 and that other one, and the two things that went crumbling down with the pow, you know, that was a turning point for me. You know what I mean? Because when I seen Mr. Bush, and we did a lot of stuff. And then it was like, there was that little poem that said, oops, I guess there was no weapons of mass. And I just was like, what? How could you say that? Like, we have supposedly all this intelligent. And you know, it was kind of like that was a turning point when I was kind of growing up. And that was kind of where I started turning into it. And I kind of said, all right, man, you know, I'm a hunter. I'm turning into a man. And I told myself, I said, I remember my dad one time. He never did, as far as I know, but he always told me about a dog next door, right? And he said, that dog, you don't want that dog anymore. He says that dog gets a little treat. He said it goes in the steak, and the steak goes over. The doggy eats it, and then the doggy goes sleepy sleep. And I started thinking about that. I kind of went, if you want somebody gone, why do you gotta send a huge complex of stuff, helicopters, whatever, all the you sent some badasses in there, right? Like they did it with that one other guy, right? They just came off a ship and let him sink. And maybe that was just a ploy because they didn't want us to really or see it. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. But that stuff, it makes me, and it seems like it just keeps kind of like and I think it's kind of stemmed back to the 1971 when we came off the gold standard. I think that's why when I was growing up, everything has a lag effect, right? The cock's really slow. And when when I was a kid, right, I was riding around and I always remember people had income. You know what I mean? Like I'd see cabins and stuff when we go up north and, they were getting them fixed, roofs and siding. And then, it just seemed like those slowly started dwindling. Like people don't have disposable income anymore. And I'm watching a lot of car videos. I'm sure some of you guys do too. And I just sit here and I just keep going, what? What? 60, 80, $120,000 for a pickup truck or for a van that some of them right now are only going, one was 3 miles I got on it and blew the motor up. And then now GM comes on and has something to say. They say, well, they're on national back order. Sorry. Well, I mean, if I was a business owner, I'd be pretty ticked. Because damn well they're not going to give you probably a full another fledged pickup, or they're not going to upgrade you into a diesel. They're going to give you a little Ford Focus, little rental vehicle or something, right? And well, how am I supposed to run my business? And I still got to make payments? You know what I mean? Like I just keep going, how do we get to here? How did here? Oh, that's fun. So, Mr. Freeze, did you get my email, Rusty? Austin, he says, wow, that's a long time. He says, glad to hear that. He says, it seems like an industry that rewards hard work and reliable, quick service. Yeah, it can be whatever you want it to be. It really can. You know what I mean? But like for Austin, I'm kind of talking. I talk in general, right? What I wish I would have done though is I would have done more with the investing side of it a little bit, right? You can make money, it's reinvest in your business, all that kind of stuff, but unless you do like franchise or something, it's hard to expand. That's the problem. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of you can get into a lot of hard. I can kind of divulge more in it a little bit if you want me to. Like I said, I don't want to bore people with it. But it's oh, how do you say it? I don't know how you say it. I don't want to say bad. Yes, but like every business, it's isn't guaranteed to build a reputation. Excellent people will notice. Eric, he says, I just checked. Eric says, that's the thing that happened to Mr. T with his ear. Definitely got me questioning the secret service. He says, do you think that they try to protect him? I don't know if this is for sure true. We're hearing that the secret, I don't know if I can even say that without getting banned. The guys in the black suits, Men in Black, right? Like the movie, wink, wink. They were created the same time Hollywood was. That's what I heard once, just once. And I thought, isn't that interesting? And maybe it's one of those things, there's some stuff, I can't remember. I thought there was a guy out there called Barn 911. I cannot find the video anymore. But he always talked a lot about ships, dock, and how a lot of stuff is the birth. It's called a birth certificate. That's why, and it was amazing that a lot of stuff in our lives are off the same thing like ships. And that's why they have to publicly announce a berth, right? Because I forget how I worded it, but it's like basically you're an asset to this, and kind of like the same thing to like anytime you sign citizen, that's like means basically slave or slavery. There's little things that kind of like I think even when you do your driver's license, I've been watching the cops talk about a little bit where they say something about, I guess when you sign for your driver's license, it's something to do. I don't know if it's like you'll give them proof or your drivers, but it's also like you'll consent to the DUI stuff, the alcohol and things of that nature. I don't know the exact details. I'm not an attorney or anything, so don't listen to me. But it's funny that like I like that kind of stuff. That's that very underlying, like, oh, now that makes sense. Or like when I was in a building class, builder was telling me, he said, one thing I can always tell you, because he was telling me about business. He said, he goes, one thing you better figure out. He says, when you're running a business, he says, whatever you send in to the IRS, he says, you better make sure it's right. You better not send them anymore, because he said, I guarantee you will never get it back. Whatever you send them is not coming back. So you better make sure everything's right. And I remember our old accountant, she was screwing something up, and she goes, there's probably whatever, it was like $3,000 or $6,000. We've been overpaying. And I remember I'm sitting there at her desk, and I'm just sitting there going, like, in my head, I'm laughing. I'm just like, okay, yeah. And she goes, well, I'm going to send them a letter and see if we can get that back. And I just want to be like, you do that. And if you get that money back, I'll split it with you. You know what I mean? Because I'd like to see that. Because I have belief that builder was lying to me. We were in this class, and we never seen the money. I thought, yeah, that money it's the mafia. Eric says, good luck. He says, trying to pull trailer with a trailer. The trailer will do, did I miss something? The trailer will do a little bit of a trailer. Do this long, skinny one like I used to have for doors. I just seen tonight, because I'm trying to get creative. I like that kind of stuff. It kind of gets me excited. Makes me feel young again. So I was like, truck needs a hitch. And then they got the hitch. I think I don't know if it's on Amazon or whatever, but they got a that'll like go up higher. And I was like, sweet. I was like, my truck already has a rack on the top, so that's perfect. I was like, I need the back part. I was like, then you can put the door on top. Then you can put your tools in the bed. And I was like, sweet. I was like, you just put a piece of dunnage down. Oh. Pull. Eric says, scarred. He says, what do you say? Apparently I forgot how words work. He says, Austin's guy says, do you look for certain growth percentage year over year, or do you just look as it is what it is? That's a good question. So there's some things. So you normally got a little growth. There's a lot of stuff that you can, especially if sometimes that's why I always talk about, keep it small, keep it all. There's that kind of terminology I like to sometimes, but you're always beholden to always doing the work. You don't take typically vacations. You got to have somebody else do it, or the business down is what I mean. But a lot of it can get eaten up. A lot of it's material. It can be your payroll, fuel, maintenance. So I don't really look, because what the problem is the first time, I don't remember if it was like 1.1 or something, 1.2, but I did over $1 million. Did over $1 million, man. I was just so proud of myself. So proud of myself. And it was just one of those years that it is really important to watch your numbers. It really is. But when you're the only person, basically a business partner, helper, something like, but you're putting in, 10, 12, 14, 17 hours a day. It's really hard at night to try to go home and, sit there and really crunch the numbers, and if you don't have a software that you're using, and when you're at the job type of thing, entering everything in like you should, but you know how that goes. You only got so much daylight. It's really difficult. So anyways, $1 million. Got done with my taxes. They were right down the road where we used to get them done. remember getting back to the shop, and I remember the lady's numbers and that. She's like, well, you got $30,000 profit. And I'm like, okay, it's 30,000. Telling me. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know in my bank account right now I got 16,000. And that's the material and just overhead, and that's not a lot of money. And with our employees, and mind you, I was running like 7 guys, 7 trucks. And I'm like, and I'm picking up a lot of slack. Like, these guys are knocking out sometimes, they got to leave. Some got to leave for appointments or something, 3, 4. Some are working till 6. I'm picking up, working. Maybe they got 2 or 3 service calls, and there's just not enough time to even schedule them for tomorrow because I got a big job coming up. So I got to get them, over to that job. So, I mean, like, that's why in the one live or whatever it was, I was talking about, I went and slept in my trailer up in the Walmart parking lot, you know what I mean, to make sure I could get the next jobs that were up north. And so anyways, they told me the numbers, and I remember I came back, and I think that was like that lightning bolt moment. I got 16 bank account. They're telling me I got 30,000 I got to pay taxes on. I don't have 30,000. I got 16. The bank account never lies. That's one thing I found out. QuickBooks and stuff can be all up sometimes, or your numbers. The bank account does not lie. And so I remember I'm walking past the trucks. This truck's got us switched out. We got little Ford Rangers at the time. Ford Ranger, a couple F-150 pickups, maybe 1 van, I think it had time. And I'm like, so this truck needs a back windshield. This truck's got 220 on it. This one's got 250. This one's just 312. This one needs tires. They pretty much all need tires. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, this is just not working out. This isn't making any sense. What the hell's going on here? I remember that year, I took over another guy's. He ended up getting like a flat tire. I fixed his flat tire. It was already late in the evening. I said, go home. It was actually my business partner. I said, go home. I said, I'll finish this next service call. I'm calling the customer, telling the secretary, please call the secretary. But I know it's after me. Just please call him, tell him I'm still going to be there. It's just, you go there. The customer worked a normal job, right? I'm showing up. I'm just dripping wet. I'm stinky. My crotch is wet. Looks like I peed myself because I'm sweating so much. And I remember they offered, one of them offered I could take something out of the fridge. If you want something, it was a hot summer day. I said, no, I'm good. I normally don't like doing that kind of stuff, And I remember I was up on the ladder. And I remember that's when it hit me. I darn near went off the ladder with heat stroke. I remember I was winding, I just dripping. It was stopped dripping pretty much. And it was like, grabbed onto the ladder, held onto it, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, I think I'm going to, So I think I ended up going down maybe in the fridge and getting something, whatever. But it's one of those things you don't know. You don't know what you don't know until or it's kind of like that, lesson repeated until lesson learned. Lesson repeated until lesson learned. And then the worst part is, right, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is insanity. So I remember that was when it really hit me. I was thinking, and when you look at your spreadsheet, you look at the big ones, the material, of course, right? So you're looking, you're going, oh, all my vendors, worked in a factory, isolated. Now, obviously, I don't know their numbers, but they got their money. Normally, your payrolls at the very next. Oh, payroll, so everybody got paid. That's good. Then you got like either fuel or maintenance will be right up there. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, maintenance is getting pretty high. Blah blah. And I remember telling myself, I just kept saying, this is bullcrap. I worked my ass off. These guys worked their asses off. Everybody worked their asses off. And I'm just going, we don't even have enough money to buy a brand new pickup truck. All that work for a year, and we don't have enough money. What is going on here? Well, I can tell you what was going on. There was a couple things. For one, we were working for Lowe's. For two, we were traveling way too far. And that's why the distance will kill you, because you're not normally getting paid for your distance traveling, typically. It puts more wear and tear on a vehicle, it's tires, it's brakes, it's a hidden tax that you don't even realize because your truck's got to go in, but the truck's got to go in. It's got to get brakes. And your guy or whoever your mechanic calls you up, and that's when it turns into, hey, I was doing the brakes, but it needs rotors, and it looks like it needs a bearing, and it needs the front end parts, and some compound. Then to top it off, nowadays it's even better. We got typically more inferior products, And you got vehicles that are absolute garbage. So it's even better, and you're paying double to triple the price. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So, anywho, I scaled back. I remember listening to a guy. He was in the same boat. He ran an excavating company, and he was talking about he dropped whatever it was, like $80,000, $100,000 less sales revenue into his business, but yet he netted like 60,000 or something. And I thought, wow. So he actually went back. So it's not a matter of always going forward. It's sometimes about going back and being more profitable. It's not about being busy. It's about being profitable and being efficient and being, in my opinion, closer. You know what I mean? So we did. We got rid of Lowe's. We weren't doing Lowe's anymore. We weren't traveling, and I really account for like we are just cresting. I think one of the vans, they're sitting somewhere. They're right about the 80,000 mark, and these are 2016, 2017. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. In the normal conditions, those would have 200,000 on them by now, 300,000. You know what I mean? If we would have kept doing what we're doing. So we got our vehicles are lasting longer, our equipment's longer. We're being more efficient. So it's sometimes it's not about, that's why it's not about being busy. It's about being efficient, being profitable, and being smart. And that's where I didn't have nobody telling me that kind of stuff. I just, yeah, we can do it, Yeah, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Could do it. And it's, well, hey, we're going to go do it. We're making $40. We're making $65. We're making $120, and we're, that's revenue, but it's, what are you really making? So that's kind of my two. But good question. Right before D. That's when the stuff, I think they came out with a JFK. Got the boom. Austin, he says, most guys in the garage door industry, included until 1 year ago, he says, don't keep track of numbers that well, that is very true. He says, they never paid attention. Says never paid attention to history. I just did March. He says, and we had a 30% net margin, which is good. We have QuickBooks now, and it's changed the way we do business because I can see my expenses. Yeah, we've had QuickBooks right from the get go. I don't even know how. Like, I was thinking about some of the guys here on the channel, or just new guys starting out, and for one, that brown door, I was trying to kind of like do it through like how you do it as a beginner. And when we got to the point, the guy was like, okay, I'm game. Like, let's go ahead and go. I was just like, screw this crap. I was like, this is a lot of work. Like, we got to get him in the system like ASAP. You know what I mean? And then, at least for us, because we use Jbar, boom, it just gets in the system. Everything's generated. It comes back, email. He's already paid half down. We already have, it's just easy squeezy, So it's a matter of, that's why a lot of times this one thing I've taken for granted too, is that it's that whole McDonald's thing, right? It's anybody can make a better hamburger, you know what I mean? But you build a better system than McDonald's. That's the key. And there's a lot of stuff that takes a lot of time that you don't feel it right now. You feel like you're making money. You think this is a waste. You know what I mean? But it needs to be done. And then you always are tweaking it as you go. Getting that stuff done will help you out so much further down the road. So you either have records or, like with Jbar, we can hit a button if you don't want somebody to see your number, and it'll tell them 15 minutes out. It'll ask for reviews. There's just a lot of, but it's one of those things you got to eventually get to that. And I'm not saying to jump right in there. That's going to be your one all be all. See, it's a matter of time. I think we have this talk a lot, right? Like, I'm just going to use me for example, right? My biggest thing is for me, I value my time. I'm all of halfway through my life. You know what I mean? I could be even less. You know what I mean? And I look at it like I'm always trying to create more time, right? So I have to build systems in place. Just like I said, totally my opinion, right? Like I've said this before, there is no thing in my brain ever tell me to leave this shop to ever go get something, right? I mean, not that I mean, you still got to do it once in a while. You forget something or whatever. You got to go get certain things, right? But my opinion is I'd rather have, because I can do more here on computer and on this device, on this smartphone, building more business, getting more customers, doing more advertising, while I got people in the background bringing products and deliveries here. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I don't want to be on that road. I've been on that road for many years, and I've done semi, I've done plowing, I've done it all, and it's not getting any better. No matter what anybody says, people are getting dumber and dumber, and all it's going to take is one, and you roll a truck over, you kill yourself, you ruin a piece of equipment that maybe you didn't have to go out that far distance. Anything can happen, right? We all got to get off the couch at some point to make money. But the more I can stuff travel to me is better, right? But we also have, we're a bigger company. We have the manpower, we have the resources to have people here when need be, or staffed or employees. But like when I used to try, I used to go out and get one or two or three openers at a time. It was 45 minutes, and the problem is that damn well that when you go there, the one lady always was nice. She always left Tootsie Rolls. She always had Tootsie Rolls. And, you got to eat the Tootsie Roll, right? You got to have a Tootsie Roll. And you got to talk to them. You got to see how things are going. Maybe your competition shows up. Those seconds turn into minutes. Those minutes turn into hours. So, for me, it's always, and we don't have nothing that's 5 minutes down the road. You know what I mean? So it's a matter of everything needs to be brought to us. Everything is minimum is 45 minutes to an hour one way. So that's part of the trade-off, I guess. You gotta always balance out. That's why for like Austin or other people, you gotta where you're gonna get your supplies, and that's an important thing. You know what I mean? Because if you just anybody, well, you got to figure out kind of another game plan for certain things, how you're gonna do it. And like I said, these were things I never even thought about. I just you just kind of can get roped up into, wow, I can go do a job. I can do one job and I can make $200, or I can do this job, make $400, or I can do this job and I can make $5. Well, you can, but how long is it going to take you? What's the material? How long is it going to take the material to get there? How long, the warranty. There's a lot of variables in the garage doors I've noticed. Do 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 do. Says the government and their regulations make it such a pain. Absolutely work for. He says more paperwork than you can believe with Navy kind. Oh yeah, yep. We have. He says 120 pages. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I mean, so like Austin, like you bringing that up too. Like I remember when we were starting out. Me and my business partner, we're in the garage, right? That's our office at the time. Was in a garage, and I remember we had two desks set up. I think we both had. Probably didn't really use them too much because most everything was fax at the time. Everything came through the fax machine. And I remember, we were paying quarterly, if I remember right. We were paying quarterly, paying our quarterly taxes. They gave us some or something. I forget, like a book or something. Maybe that was for the checks. I don't remember. Anywho, behind, right? We're just in survival mode, man. I mean, that's just all it is. Like we got jobs coming in. We're just trying to get these jobs taken care of. I mean, just in a nutshell, kind of blowing up, right? Just, oh my gosh, we got all the work. And like I said, this is back in 2006, different times. And I remember we got behind, right? Because at the time, my ex-wife she had her own job. His wife had her own job. And so, I mean, we were just like, we didn't have a second. We didn't have any, we come back and it was like, he'd want to cut loose. I'm like, dude, we got to at least work till 5. We got to get advertising. We got to restock the truck. We got to do, we got to get some supplies ordered. There's just so many things. And I remember we got behind on our taxes. And that's why it's why I kind of always talk about the whole neutered thing. because I remember all of a sudden we got, I don't know what it was, like $1,200, $2,000, $3,000 all of a sudden taken out of our account. Just, and I'm like, and we had an accountant because we didn't do stuff. So we had an accountant. So I'd like see her pretty almost weekly in a sense, or maybe every other week. And I remember her saying like, "Oh yeah, I seen this money come out." And I said, you know, at that time you don't really have a lot of digital stuff on your phone. So, I mean, we're working with like, what do we start with? Maybe a BlackBerry. You know, maybe not even had that. Probably had the flip phone still, Nextel. And so things are easy to find online. You got to call your bank or stop at your bank. So this money got taken out. And yeah, you wouldn't believe it. Uncle Sam said, we noticed that you pay your quarterly taxes. So we estimated what what you've paid for in that. So we estimated, and we took it out for you. And it wasn't like we were super behind. It wasn't we were 3/4 or 2 quarters behind. I mean, we were partially into one or something. And I remember, I'll never forget, I went, those sons of biscuits. I mean, I was so livid that I thought, you know, like, I can't go in your account. You know, I can't even get numbers right, but they can come in and just, oh, hey, kind of like, like the Sopranos, right? Like the mafia. And I just was like, are you flipping kidding me? So that got taken out. And I was kind of like thinking about it. It was almost like, it really took the wind out of my sails a little bit because I almost just wanted to be like, oh, I mean, if you're already estimating, why do I do all the work? Why don't you just go ahead and estimate somewhere and just take the crap out automatically? Because you know what? We sure as hell could use an employee right now. You know, we're strapped out here just busting our heinies day in, day out, trying to, you know, make jobs and get stuff done. Just go ahead. Just go ahead and estimate. That stuff gets me ramped up. I'm a number says I can't stand to waste the cash. I am now to saw the light. So like for Austin too, like a numbers person, you know, it's really in the business, right? Because it's really tough because there's a lot of waste in a nutshell. And what I mean by that is like, you don't know, right? You go to a customer, they're going to throw you with a curveball. You know, you think you got stock springs and now you need to cut one down from a 10-foot slab. You know, there's a lot of variables in there. You ever think about just maybe like, you know, getting into the rentals or maybe getting into like a vending machine business? You know, I mean, I think it's a little more stable. I need to figure out how to put trailer. Is that the Corolla or something? He says there is no one going to be able to afford a truck or repair the Ranger and buy stuff to fix it. Get the Danger Ranger. That's what Caleb's running. He's running the Danger. So is Sky. Sky's got the Danger Ranger. Or finding an old used, the vans are making kind of cheap, but they're hard to, they're rusted out. Austin, one last year, he says 1.1, he says, only brother and I says I bought 240 materials, built new building, had about 380 in overhead and 39 net. He says margin, he says, hope those numbers help. That's right, Eric. Even SOS knows it, man. 5 Mile Famous, man. I love it. I was watching a landscaper. He was talking about the same thing. 5 Mile Famous, man. You know, and I think that's why, you know, like I've I've talked about before, like with my one vendor, they're a small mom and pop vendor. His dad ran a company. And he didn't want to do the service. He ended up he's got a very successful. They sell the material. They're actually the biggest LiftMaster opener place in Michigan, and you know, they do good. And I think about that and I go, boy, you know, there is something to that because, you know, it's like we got to be realistic with ourselves, right? You do 200, 500 service calls a day, but you could probably take care of maybe 100 or 200 customers that come to your door. You know what I mean? And if everything's going out your door and it's $10, $20, $100, $500, whatever the case, right? And that stuff is spreading out, you know, and then if you get phone calls, which you're going to have phone calls and problems, back, right? But the problem with us is we go out to jobs. We run to, oh, I forgot to restock the truck. Oh, I go there, the customer's lift don't work. Oh, I forgot a ladder. Oh, you know, I forgot this, or we'll have to come back. There's a lot of, you know, where I guess what was always a wake up call is, so I got another business I do that's like Porta Johns. And when I was sold, this was years ago, when I sold a Porta, it was life changing. And I'll tell you why. I sold it for only like it was like I'm going to use an example of 20. I know it was a little more than $20. It might have been $60. And when I sold it, and I sold it off a chunk of property, right? Holy crap. Maybe that shouldn't be right with Porta Johns. This money is like, this is money, and this is guaranteed. You know what I mean? Because the thing is that everything we touch, right, in the garage door business, there's always a chance. Like, we're dealing with electronics, we're dealing with human operations. So when you don't know if you're going to back. You know, you like to pretend. I know I do, right? You know, I'm the man. I never screw up. I never have service calls or warranty calls, or never have callbacks. Never have, never will. Bull crap. You know what I mean? And so, and the beautiful thing, which I always like to joke around with people, is I would sell something or whatever, right? And I say, hey, I'm talking about P&J is what I call it, Porta John. I said, hey, do you need help, like, knowing how to operate this thing? And they'd be like, stop. Are you being serious? Like, stop. You do your business, you wipe your hiney, and you move on in life. Okay, just checking. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, like, the simplicity of it is so much better. Just like I was seeing my buddy, I talked to him a little bit, you know, about the vending machine business. And what I see in the garage door industry, what I didn't know when I was starting out, is I went, whole fudge monkeys, there is so many variables. And then if you try to expand, and then with employees and stuff like that, it can compound. And then when you're dealing with inferior products, like this one that's sitting out here now, that, thank you, Rich B. I mean that, like, this is going to be a game changer. You know what I mean? Like, this should be hassle-free. This should be no BS. That's hard to find. That's super hard to find. Excuse me. What's the desired work radius you try to stay in? My brain always goes to what Lowe's did. I figured Lowe's, you know, is a billion-dollar company, whatever. They're smarter than me. They would start charging outside of 20 miles. So for me, I like the 20 miles. I've noticed that when I start over 20 miles, I start getting a little bit anxious in the seat. So really, it's between probably 20 and 30. But when I start hitting out of 30 miles, I start getting a little bit irritated. I've had it in multiple other businesses. I know it's just, once you start getting over 30 miles, it's like, you know, because especially depending on where your location, where you're going, if you run into, like, right now, like our Muskegon, Michigan is just slammed right now with construction. And so to get somewhere that should take you 10 might take you 30 minutes. So it's, you know, but as you compound that, it adds up. But that's a good question. So Eric says I do 10 to 15. Since I'm starting out, I've gotten past that. Yeah, we used to do, like, we're doing, like, we haven't lost money yet. We're not in the red, but I call it the long distance loser one that we've been working on. That's a commercial job. And that is 51 miles one way. And it's just like, it's too long. It's just too long. I mean, I've mentioned it before. Austin and I've been here for it, but we had a driver, one of the techs, he had a tire that blew out him on the scissor lift. He was on the side of the road, so he had to lift it down the side of the highway. He don't know the area that good, but he had to get off the highway, and I can't blame him. He did the right thing, you know, but it messed up the fender. Doesn't think he hit anything. Could be because of the distance, the tire heated up. It could be the age. We were talking about that before here. It's a 18 tire. Don't know. Don't know. I'm glad he didn't get hurt. You know what I mean? We got a scissor lift right now. That job's so far away. Who wants to go out and get their scissor lift? It's 51 miles away. Our scissor lift's still out there that they could be using. The job was, we were supposed to be like a slam dunk, get it done in a couple days. The job wasn't quite ready. You know, we did some stuff. So now it was supposed to be this week. Now it's supposedly next week. When they're far away, man, you just, the everything escalates. You know what I mean? Like, do you leave your lift? Do you bring your lift back? I mean, it's got to be pettiboned in there into the place because everything's sand. Do 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 do. Wherever they call from today. So I drove 40. Oh my gosh, Rusty. Each way says more than 30. He says to be in a couple different towns. Kevin's got, he says, depends on demographics. Yes. Decent population, area 2 miles, more rural, going to be farther. Yep, yep. And that's why, I mean, these are, I can't tell you how much, Austin, I appreciate being here because these are great questions. And I hope you're getting a lot from this. But this is why, like, this would be the stuff I'd be really like, who are my vendors? Who are my allies? You know, who are my friends? Who are my foes? And, like, you know, what's my demographic like? You know what I mean? Because, you know, maybe it's better to take the money and put it in the stock exchange and work out of a computer. You know what I mean? The returns might be better because, you know, if you're traveling, maybe it's something to consider. Hey, what? Maybe 3 years we're gonna move. I'm gonna start. This town's really good or hopping. You know, there's just a lot of stuff to think about. There's a lot of stuff I just never thought. You know, I just thought, you know, you kind of look at it. Oh, you know, it'd be great to make a couple $100 and do this. Where's your scrap metal going to go? Do you got property? Do you got land? Is your zoning? Do you got neighbors? Right? I mean, if you're in a suburb, you just start stockpiling scrap metal up or garage doors or wood ones. Hell, where I was cutting them up, I was in the city. My neighbors, I was pretty good with my neighbors, but I'm like literally having a fire every night, burning up garage doors because otherwise I got to travel. What would that be? About 20 minutes? Yeah, it'd be about 25, 30 minutes, probably somewhere 20, 30 minutes. I'd have to travel to landfill. Landfill at the time, I think, was like 40 some dollars just for, I could load up a vehicle, but that takes time, gas, energy. I'd have to load up they're going to charge me a minimum of $40 to get in there to dump the stuff. And at the time, it's like I got barely any time just to see my family. Like I'm just drowning in trying to get these jobs done, and you're always trying to squeak more in, right? Instead of being like, well, I'll just do one door a day. You know, well, yeah, you think that, but now you got a customer or maybe getting with a builder and hey, we need to get this, we need to. See, that's the worst thing about garage doors. Everybody wants to secure the building, and I get it. And the times aren't getting better, right? There's more vandalism, there's more gunshots, there's more people stealing things, and that's the one thing that if you got a brand new construction, people always, that's the one thing they hover for you. You know, hey, can we get this? We really need this place closed up. You know, we got appliances being brought in here. We got electrical. You know, people come in, they'll rip out the electrical. And then sometimes what the crazy part about that stuff is you'll lock the place up. Then you'll be like me, you know, like this one, if I wanted to work at it late, right? This kind of long distance loser. You know, it's going to look a little awkward, you know, if I'm in there with the lights on and then you know, a neighbor person comes over, let's say here, and they're banging or something, might call the cops. And I'm just trying to work later hours because I'm just trying to get a job done. I'm saying, so there's just a lot of things that can kind of, you know, because maybe you only got a certain amount of time. Maybe you got the kids got a rehearsal or something, you know. So there's a lot of exactly because I drive 150 miles a day. God, sounds like what I used to drive. And I think I was going to do the EcoBoost. I said I'd drive like another 100 more miles on top of that to make it worth it. Have Rusty Dave. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 1, 6, 7. Yeah, or 8 to 10. You know what I mean? Depending on, we got 8 probably full time, and then you got 10 with a couple part times. You know. And by the way, if I we got some amazing people, and it takes a long time. You know what I mean? I love employees are like family. And there's some you just want to kick to the curb, you know. But no, we got a good group. Average around 30 to 40 minutes. That's what Rich B's got. That's a good number. That's a good number. I've already found out, like, it seems whatever the miles are, that's roughly what the time is. And then, you know, I had one that was sitting about 40, 45 minutes, I think. And I was kind of like doing it like, this is getting to be where I'm starting to get a little bit irritated, you know, type of thing. And it all depends. Like I said, we're doing the one, it's all of whatever, hour and 15 away. And, you know, the numbers are still good, but it's just now it's like, you know, our scissor lift's tied up. We got stuff there that's probably getting moved around. You know, you just, yeah, you know, you can't just quickly look at it and go see if there's a problem or something. Austin, he says, it's just my brother and me. Dad tired this year, but still works sometimes when we need him. He says, if you have enough work coming in, you can average between 300 and 500 per year per truck. My largest competitor an hour away that does gates, awnings, 350 per truck every year. Nice. Residential, 80%. I love it. IRS is Uncle Sam, brother. Is it Shifty? Yeah. Austin, the money is in service. Yeah, I mean, you could kind of think too, you know, like a guy that used to work, and I would kind of agree, like honestly, like I just think if it's something you kind of want to like keep small to some degree, like if you have the market, you have the clientele, you got the population, like do springs. Like I think about it, I'm like, dude, if I was like just gonna like wing it out there, I'd just become like the spring expert. That's what I would do. I maybe do like, you know, the problem is normally you're gonna get roped up into other things, but if you're just committed, like mostly you do springs and you're like, we really don't change outdoors, we really don't struts or something or some rollers, things like that. You're there, like you kind of do like the add-ons, like I can look at your opener, but maybe you just kind of do, you know, maybe just do opener. I don't know what the threshold would be. You know, that'd be kind of up to whoever. But when I think about the springs, I just go springs are, but the problem is you got to be available. That's the big key, at least for my area. Right? People want, you know, people don't like that feeling of something not being right. It's just like when you broke down on the side of the road with a flat tire. People don't like that. Oh, we got 13 likes. Thank you guys for likes too. So some people just, that mental thing, you know, something broke, it's not the same. I want to fix now. And so with the springs, you know, the beautiful part is for the most part, especially if you're just doing residential, I'm just talking residential. Springs are small, springs are compact. Springs, you know, like I said, we've talked about this before. I've never had anybody ever call me and say, you know, I was looking at my spring and it's got a scratch in it. You know, I was looking at my spring and it looks like it's got a sag in it. You know, it looks like it's got a dent. Never happened. It's just like you can go in there, you can fix it, and they praise you. Oh, thank you for fixing my garage door. How much is it? Like, oh, wow, you know, it's going to be 400, 500. It's going to be $2 million today. And they're like, okay. And now you go on your way. And then you got a little chunk of scrap metal. So that's a little bonus if you want to scrap whatever. It's nice and heavy, but you're not dealing with the complexity of garage doors. You're not dealing with holding these big garage doors and where are you going to store them? And they got dents and they got scratches. And oh, you forgot, like, we got this extra door. I mean, for instance, I can show you one right now. We still got juice in the phone. Good boy. Charged it. I found out today, the guys have, I think Mr. J's actually been doing it. I just got to give credit where credit's due. He's done an awesome job keeping the shop really clean. But we have a door down here, right? This one right here. It's like, what is this door? Why is it, whose door is this? You know, everything is taken out. We got service going on. A lot of doors are out on the jobs. We got gates too. So there's not much in here. So it's kind of nice for once. We can actually move around. We can actually get to all our supplies. It's awesome. But it's like, what is this? What is this lonely little door here? It's an 8x7. What is it? What is up with that little door? Well, come to find out, just like I'm saying, why you do springs, two different customers. What happened was the guys loaded up the wrong door. I've done this too. I've almost the wrong door on the wrong house. That was embarrassing. But when they installed the door, the job they went to was not supposed to have windows. So two different customers, two taupe doors. One had windows, one didn't have windows. Well, they installed it. The customer's kind of like, hey, I don't think I had windows, but I really like the windows. Well, crap. So what you're supposed to do? You ain't going to take it away from them. They paid the extra difference. So we had to reorder another with windows. It's just easier sometimes that way than ordering section only, and then you just throw a section away. This door we can actually technically sell. But now this door is sitting here, right? This was boo-boo. It happens. But that's why sometimes I think about like springs. I think I got to lock this door. It's just simple. It's small. Like I think about Cousin Evan. I think of stuff like that where I just kind of go, dude, like springs would be my hot. Like I'm your guy for springs. But the big thing with springs typically is you got to be available. That's the thing. People want, if you're like, I can be there in 30 minutes, they love that. You know what I mean? You might want to pre-qualify them, stuff like that. Say, hey, it's going to be, you could be in the range springs. How many springs are up there? There's one. Okay, it's in the range of $450 to $800. So that's fine. Just when can you get here? And the high-end installs. Freeze, you need a minivan. The minivan. Tacoma, that works. That's what SOS uses. He's got a Tacoma. Tacoma's a solid vehicle. And 17 F-250, hopefully that'll get me for a while. Yeah, that'll work fine. You know what I mean? You can put ladder racks on it. You can get a trailer. Just haul a trailer. I've done that before. You add a little skinny trailer. Probably if it was me, the Tacoma would be nicer. It's probably going to be a little bit lower if I was going to do stuff on top, a rack. Get it wrapped or put decals on it. Good point, Rich. Minivans are cheap and available. That's true. Dave, callbacks are like the boogeyman. Ooh, I like that. That's a good one, Rusty. You don't see him, but he keeps you up at night wondering if you tighten that, was it back hangs? Oh, man. Heck yeah. The one that always gets me is I always put the J-arms. I always finger tight the J-arms sometimes. And it's like I'll leave. You know how it is like you pull down the road and you make a corner? You're like, fudge. You're like, did I tighten up that J-arm? I swear I did. Did I not? And you're like trying to envision yourself with like a wrench and an impact, because maybe I'll just finger tight to get it up there, but then you have to adjust it, to where you want it. But you literally normally got to go off the ladder, bring your impact and stuff up there. Those are the ones, but back same too, because you leave them loose, you're adjusting them, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, if that comes loose, it rattles loose, that whole door could drop. Well, maybe hopefully the opener will keep it from dropping all the way, but oh man, that's like, I've done that walk of shame where I've had a customer call, I'm like, hey, I know I just left, there's something I want to check. So that's probably kind of goes on with that whole thing, like Lowe's always kind of beating in my head. It's more for the customer. It's always the first 10 minutes is the most important and the last 10 minutes. Well, that kind of goes in a nutshell, at least the last 10 minutes for yourself. Like I pack tools before I have to deal with a customer talking to me and they're telling me about the weather and everything. I go through and I touch everything. I'll bang the track even, listen, I'll touch. I've been thinking about it. I've really been thinking about upping the game. I know the guys wouldn't like, but I thought about, I even for myself, I thought about getting a marker, just like an automotive, and you literally would mark at least the bolts, right? Everything you put together with a bolt. Screws, I think those are kind of it. But even if maybe you dotted, I don't know how far it would get where it's like you look at a door and you're like, this kind of looks like crap. You know what I mean? Like you should have used a brown marker instead of a white marker. So, you know what I mean? Like, but I just keep thinking how much more efficient that would be that you knew a technician or yourself went through and because I've had track bolts that are loose and that could be catastrophic. This is what I use. Tony rocks a van and he's got it pretty good. He does. Brody, what's up, Brody? Says hi. I've gone over 20. At that point, you're busy. It's extra time that you can be working a little money on petrol and wear and tear. Yeah, Austin, what is your closest city? Dude, somebody was jamming out there. Are you near one with competition? Rock mark. Whoops, hit here. I'll take a screenshot of this. kind of rule. Disposal just seems like pain in the ass. To have a dumpster for trash and other for scrap metal. It does seem to work pretty good, but you know, like Eric's saying, the problem is though is then you got a location. You know what I mean? I started out at my house. I remember I got a Republic. I think it was Republic. I got them bring a little. I think it was a 2-yard. And man, did I feel like the man when I got that little 2-yard dumpster. I was just out there with my skill saw, just chipping those doors up, man, stuffing them in there. Because I was working out of a trash can. You know, I think they're 90-gallon trash cans, your normal tip cart that you have for a house that you put out by the road, the wheels, you know. And it just wasn't enough. I think I ended up having 2 for a while, and stuff was getting bigger. We were growing, and so I got that 2-yard. And so I was kind of lucky. You know, looking back, I didn't feel lucky, but I was lucky because where my house was, I was actually zoned commercial. Like they wanted basically our houses to burn and not to rebuild them. So I was zoned commercial, and I had 2 good neighbors. One was kind of a family member, another one was just a good neighbor. I bet they kind of maybe was glad that I moved because I remember I couldn't get the Republic to come up in my driveway. One for the asphalt. They said, you know, their trucks are too heavy. They're worried they're going to crush the asphalt. Fair enough. And I kept my place pretty nice. There was overhangs they were concerned about. So I literally, I bought a forklift. These are all the things. You know what I mean? I want a garage doors, you know, and then, well, you got to buy a forklift, then you got to buy a building, you got to buy a train, you got to buy a scrap metal. So and then at one point, problem was, this is just something food for thought for some of you guys. The problem is that when I was working out of my house, I started having kids. And when you watch your kids start running around basically really sharp and pokey metal, you know, the brain starts kind of, you know, like when you got panels sitting and you got struts sitting and you're like, I really don't want to see one of my kids just, you know, running through the yard and just, you know, slice an eye open. So that was a really hard. We sacrificed a lot. We ended up, we bought this before we actually wanted to move into like I guess we've moved so many times, but, you know, into a dream home. And so, you know, this place came first, and that kind of sucked. That was hard. That was hard on my wife. It was hard on me seeing her because she wanted out of the old place because that's where my ex was. Didn't really feel like hers. And I can't blame her. But these are things that come up, you know what I mean? And we're outgrowing the space, the yard. I mean, we weren't even, it was just under an acre of land. And so, but anyways, I remember I bought a forklift, and so I'd have to, some days of the week, every week, whatever, I'd have to take my little forklift and I have to pick up my dumpster and I have to go put it out by the road. And then here comes the big truck, right? And they dump it over the top load one. You know, and then, I remember Wayne Dalton, this place, WD, the truck driver guy they had, he was a nice guy. He was pale, real pale. And white hair. I think he was that like albino, whatever person, you know. So he had white hair, really pale skin, always looked like a ghost. Super nice guy. And but that dude liked to do early routes or whatever it was. I mean, he would show up at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, he was never consistent. It would be like sometimes it was 5, sometimes it was 6 in the morning, sometimes it was 7. Very rarely it was 8. But he's always, you know. So it's like, you know, can you imagine that you're busting your ass, working until 9, 10 o'clock at night? You know what I mean? You're super tired. You're trying to hang out with the wife. Got maybe a rugrat or 2 jumping on you, and you're like, daddy's tired. You know, you try to eat. You try to get a shower. You try to shove them down to eat, and you basically been a little bit, right? Not really, but I mean, you're not sleeping until 7 o'clock when you normally got to be at work at 8. But, you know, and all of a sudden you're in your house, right? We had an upper window, so our window was up kind of, and all of a sudden you'd be laying in bed, right? And all of a sudden it'd be beep, beep, beep. And I mean, like, you're like seeing flashing light. Holy, what's going on? Yeah, is the house on fire? You know, I mean, you just have to jump out of bed, you know, throw some clothes on, you know, Oh man, you know, because for one, I didn't want the guy out there messing with the door by himself because had the tendency to slide them off the back of the truck and they would get dent, or if they were vinyl back doors, they would get gouged up, and he just like lean them on the back of the truck, and then he'd almost not drop them, but darn near if he had to do it by himself. And I can't blame him; they're a pain. But I mean, I'd be out there just scurrying as fast as hey, let me give you a hand, let me give you a hand, you know, and then it's like now you got like an hour or two before you even really need to get up. So now you're just like, well, I guess I might as well clean out a truck or something. I mean, I guess the one needs a tire change. I changed it on it. So cool. Do. This is where I am now. He says average 3 new hires to find one worth a flip. Yeah, it's kind of Austin, find a suburb area around Atlanta for the weather customers. Dave, do you have a flat rate for springs or bid everyone differently? They're pretty much all differently. It just all depends on, can depend on distance, and on, you know, I think they have a certain kind of set standard for single. I don't know what they charge, honestly. It's pretty sad. But I know they went up, and then they obviously, if it gets to be like a 273 or something out of the wheelhouse for size, then it'll be price will go up. But they normally kind of got their own set, far as I know, unless something's goofy, you know. But always, you know how it is. You get there, and sometimes you need a strut, top panel bent up or something. What's to say? Like the openers, I just do openers so I don't have to worry about hauling around panels and issues with springs. Yeah, it works. You know what I mean? What's to say? I have Rusty. I have an all-star. I have an all-star for you. Ooh. Eric says I can come out tomorrow, Rusty. Text you here later about it. Nice. In the same place with Jbar. Says all about tightening them. Yeah, it's a common. There's this. It seems like the Jr top fixtures. You know, the adjustable top fixture. That's one I missed because it'll get jammed up, or you just finger tighten it, and that you never hit it home. Backings, like Rusty was. I don't think there's too many more that I can think of right off the top of my head. Oh, I know. The spring pad, right? Mounts, you know, you leave it, I leave mine loose. So until I get it up there, I'll sight down it, you know, just see if it's like, it needs to come in or out. And then normally I'll take an impact, or I'll take a couple wrenches and just tighten them up. But sometimes, I normally catch them though, because normally when I wind the springs, I'll stop in the corner of my eye shift and I'm like, ooh, I'm like, that's not good. That's loose. I better tighten it up right now. But, I have sneaked a couple in there before that. They were finger tight, and I was like, it's fine. It'll be fine. I'll just come back and tighten it when I'm done winding the spring. I'm not getting down right now. But that's where your brain can be like, did I ever tighten that spring? It'll be fine. It's got shit on it, right? It's not going to come undone. Well, what if it does? You know? That's why I tighten bolts in the same order. Also, muscle memory, then. That is true. That's true. Plus, probably was practice. Honestly, I'm not the best at it. I'm getting better because as I'm getting older, I don't like bending over. I don't like doing any more trips than I need to. Getting a good tool belt. Get a good tool belt. I've even seen a roofer guy hired. He ended up having like a phone one in there. Get yourself a good tool belt. Get suspenders on it. I recommend. That way you can really load it down. And then, you know, I got Papa Tony's thing right now. His clip he got me. I'm starting to load that up. So I got my bits on there. You know, get yourself a good impact holder. I use a hook on the back. I think there was another one I just watched. It has like a clip where you have to turn it a certain way. It'll pop out. And I thought that's probably a good idea because, man, I tell you, when you're working around or something, that's the worst thing I ever think about. Or if you're up on a high ladder, your impact does the whole bouncy where it hits the ladder, and then it's like it hits the run of the ladder and does like that flip. It's just like, I'm out to flip and kill something. You know what I mean? And it's like you're watching it, and it's going to either go towards a person, a vehicle, a table, whatever, you know, a appliance, who knows. And you're like, no! You know, or just your impact gets smashed and it's done for. How long been in the door industry, Kevin? 20 years. Wow. My hat's off to you, Kevin. You, Rusty? thing's got a little leak to it. You see? It's time. I thought I lost this guy. I got my eyes on another one. I don't want that. I love you, Wes. But I got my eye. If that one does the Houdini, I know where I'm going next. Tony too. Rich, I don't know. I wonder how long Rich, how long you been doing doors? I don't think I quite know. I know Tony's been in it for quite a long time. Your owner says, nope. Oh, you can have that headache. Oh man, I know. Look at all these gray hairs. So hey, there's really something to beaut. Like I said, I look at it. I miss the days. There was a time when I used to work at the shop, and that time card, man, that felt so damn good. Oh God, did it feel good? It was right up there with the SEX, man. It was like, I remember I would hit that thing, you know, the machine would suck it in on and do this little thing, do your time card right, and all of a sudden in the back of my ear, I could hear the mill because I used to run a mill. You know, something just popped, and I'm like, not my problem. I'm going to have one hell of a weekend. I got camping, and you just didn't have to worry about none of that crap. You know what I mean? And in business, it's just, you're like sitting at events sometimes, and you're just like, people are like eating, you know, having a guy and the kids are playing, people are eating sandwiches, and you're just sitting there and you're like, and then somebody's like says something to you, know, like, how's it going? You're like, what? The flux capacitor, the pulley, I don't know if I tightened up the bowls. I got to go to that job Monday. What? And they're like, whoa. And you're like, you know, or this, you know. So, but it can be trained. It can be learned. I didn't realize there's a way to train it. Because I used to do a lot of it, you know what I mean? And weekends would get blown up. There was a lot of stuff that there was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of sacrifice. A lot of things I missed. Some days you are correct. Winter. A sure. Get a winder. Long story. Call me sometime. Let's see. I'm definitely going to get. Eric's going to get one too. He's going to be part of the Surewinder Club. Dang. You're going to get a Surewinder. Hopefully I get to use it. We'll get to use the spring turner at the one job. I haven't heard nobody really crying for it. So I think they still like winding them, you know. It will be a little difficult because there's that Tyvek stuff up there. So I'm not sure how that's going to kind of work. I thought about using one of those knee pads I carry around. I lost a knee pad. Hopefully it's at that job still. I got a red one and I got a blue one. I tell you what, those are game changers too. Boy, if you want your knees, get yourself either maybe get good knee pads, I guess, or just get one of those knee pads they use for concrete. They sell at the box store. It's got the handles. Oh, it just makes your, you know, I found out in life to make things make it so you'll want to do a good job. Like, it's all about the preparation. So if you get down on the ground and you're comfortable, it's kind of like welding. I guess I would relate it to welding. Like I've always noticed, like in welding, like if I'm not comfortable and stable, you kind of do a crappy job welding. But if you're just like, you know, like in the moment and you're at peace and you're comfortable and you got the right gear on and the right mask and it turns on so it's not you got the right welder and everything's just perfect. Boy, you can make it look beautiful. But if you're agitated and you're not using the right stuff and you got a wad of hot molten metal going in your ear, you know, and you're sweating to profusely and it's just not good conditions, you normally don't do such a good job. So like the knee pad, I noticed like on like Photo Eyes, I'm just down there in my own little world. I can have my earbuds in, I can have music playing, whatever, and I'm just like la di da di da. But you put me down there on my knees, and I get like one like screw in my knee, and I'm like, mother fudgers, you get this job and shove it, you know, like, or a rock. So there's little preparations, you know, and it makes a big difference. And it's always funny now that I realize, like when I use these things, I always get somebody when I'm not using, hey, you got that knee pad to borrow? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you got a credit card or whatever, go get your own. You know? Definitely sure why it is. I will get when the business grows. Ooh, I just use some cardboard as an e-pad. That's a good idea. I had to do that a while ago. Somebody was using mine, and I had something I had to, and I was just like, I found a box, just kind of got it, and that was good enough, just enough to take that tension. I've been watching. Oh, I wish I could think of the name, but there is one online, and it's they're about $100 on Amazon, and those ones look really nice. And I thought I need to buy me some because I get caught either with doors, I get caught with it could be anything roofing. You talk, I've done trim, um, and I'm just not as young and flexible as I used to be. So we'll give it another few more minutes. If you guys got any questions, whatever, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I'll wrap her up. We'll get out of here. I'm draining into the nostril, ready to take this thing up there and just pump it full because I'm just so sick of this thing, this drainage. I got, like I said, it's better, but it's still not the best. You know what I'm saying? And I got a little one I got to deal with for the weekend, and she's kind of got the same thing, and that'll be fun. So I got to deal with her. So I need a little bit of. I got to find a few events that we can do, a few fun things for her. The cardboard, though. The cardboard is a knee pad. It works like a charm. Oh, what is tomorrow's Friday? That's gonna be nice. Tomorrow's Friday. We're going to definitely have a nice weekend. I think the weather's supposed to be. We're supposed to start getting warm, which I'm not. I don't know if I'm super excited about. Next week's gonna be. We're talking the 80s. It's weird tonight. We're actually supposed to be. I think we're 34. They were saying they have a freeze warning actually going out right now. Ooh, got a long day tomorrow. Oh yeah, I get it. Well, still here, Eric. Let me take a walk. I'm just curious. I doubt there is. We already looked the other night. Let's just take a look at the walk to the scrap for the fun of it. Because I'm just curious. I figured I might as well bring you along. And it feels nice and cool out here. The shop is just a little on the toasty side for me. See if anything got in the old scrap. I know we got robbed. They can't change your out. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Ooh. See if anything got tossed in there. That's good. Any resis or something. Seems like they're doing a lot of commercial stuff is what I've been seeing on the agenda. Look here. What is that? What are you? Huh. I don't know what that is. Is there a cover? Looks like over here a LiftMaster bit the dust. I wonder what's wrong with it. Is that one a jack shaft? No. Relays. I see relays. It's pretty misty. Where's the cover? Oh, there's the cover. There's a cover for it. Let's see here. Old Power Master. Well, let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look. We're here. Hopefully I don't drop phone or break a leg. All right, let's see here. This one. What the hell? Look at all that yummy stuff in there. Still got a transformer. Those are tight. Definitely dusty. Definitely dusty. Probably the RPM sensor. Failed. What's the year on this bad boy? It says 21. That's not very old. I wonder why it's a failure. Yeah, we'll take a look at this one. Look at that beaut. Look at that motor. That is pretty. Look at that round. That is cool. That's what I like. The whole logic stuff, you know. Look at that. What's the date on you, old girl? What is that? Huh. What are you? I still don't know what it is. What is this? I don't know what this doesn't say. How are they supposed to advertise? Link controls. Huh. Know what that is? Rich's guy says my cue in that opener, that one. What is this? I can't believe somebody don't have their name on it. Like, probably why they went out of business. It's like not on here. What is this? Proudly made in the USA. Disconnect power for moving color. Power. That's it. Huh. I don't know what this is. Oh, wasn't that what not Rusty, but Papa Tony was talking about? That spring in there? Oh, okay. So link opener, lift master, bottle. That sounds about right. Serves that spewed before something with like Power Master, Lift Master used to be the same type of deal. Oh. What's wrong with that spring? That's a good looking spring there. That's $50. Oh. Whoa. That's pretty cool. Found a few goodies in here. It's pretty sweet. Out of that. Anybody remember that? Cutting those puppies out so you can get access? Well, I've done a lot of that. Damn overhead used to keep that crap solid. Cut those biscuits out of there so you can get your bearing. Yeah, done a lot of that. Should have kept the trolley. Maybe it's broke. I don't know. It's a good trolley. It's amazing how you just waste stuff. You know, back in the day, it's like these are valuable things, man. You know, like this right here, unless it's broke. Hogged out or something, but you know, you ever been stranded, broke? Look at that. That's a good belt. That's a good belt. Don't know. What's that? Oh, these are the terminals. Okay, I'm like, looking at that going, why do they got inside terminals? Interesting. Save the angle? Oh yeah, there's a lot of angle. Stuff right there, man. That's worth some money. Kayla would be eating crap up. I mean, shit, look at the big old piece right here. Yeah, that's what happens. You get big, you get wasteful. That's how it goes. You know, I don't have enough time to always manage. I mean, what are you supposed to store all this crap? But that is how it goes. Look at front pulley. I've had those. I don't know if I've had those break. I've had them missing, I feel like. There's a lot of good parts. I guess in a nutshell, my buddy passed away in a car accident, you know. You know, he always said they would, let me, hang on a second. Try to put Leatherman away and talk at the same time, but you know, he was telling me like here we got actually room. We actually got more property back behind that fence. We could actually store this stuff. I just never want to second handle it. But what I'm getting at is a good thing is that you could actually, if this stuff stayed and you knew kind of you had a pile out there and you maybe spread it a bit or something, right? The one thing is all the stuff gets in the dirt, you'll never find it again. But if you did, you'd have so many parts, that if I mean, you just unlimited amount of parts. I mean, where this gets every whatever month or whatever, every other month, you kind of run out. That stuff goes bye bye. All right, let's see here. What is inside? That what is it, of the multi code? That goes for a gate edge. That's a gate edge transmitter. Is what the housing's gone. So it'd go into like a gate here. We don't have one on ours because why would we want to have safety, right? Play the market. Wonder why LiftMaster is. What does it say? Oh man. $10 a stick. It's pricey, man. I don't think we have a lot either in stock. They got some. What the heck? It's just money, right? It's just money. Who cares? Nobody cares. The joys. Oh, by the way, I see some of the mechanics that got online are running this too. I've talked about this before, but I am really impressed so far with this flashlight. I've been really happy with this. Was it Olight or something on there? I know Rich was like, be fancy and put a whatever you call it, put a link. But I'm telling you, what I do like is I said it's got the light. I like the in the center, so I'm not mishandling it. I like that it tells me what my battery is. Then I also have a laser. Laser. Then it's got that UV, which I don't use UV, but whatever. But I forgot to show you guys. I don't know if it'll come off or I gotta put it on my hip. But there was a bad review. I guess I'm gonna have to show you my hip. There was a bad review on this, right, online. This holder. It was $25. But let me see if I can just do it. This goes right down into it. It protects your your button. There's like the clip's nice too, if you don't want to have the thing. But I honestly really like it. So I think it's a good buy. Light's kind of expensive. It's about $100 probably for the light. 25, so you're about $125 or so. But if you're kind of like me and you got certain tools, they like to use cell phone holder, Leatherman. It's just one of those things I just like having it, you know what I mean? Where my other flashlight kept turning on, so the battery would be dead, or it'd get hot and it. So just something to think about. Do you use what gate op? So for us, a lot of this linear, the HSLGs is what I like. Free says those are good lights from what I heard, but they got one with clips onto your hat. I don't know. I've seen guys. I don't really want to wreck my service spring. They were so generous. Let's see here. This thing though has got a clip both ways, right? So let me see if I can make it work here. So that's what it's got a clip that's universal in a sense. So you can actually still clip it to your hat, you know what I mean? Or it's got it so it clips right. I got my knife in here, but it'll clip to your side and it actually sits in there really nice. So I guess I just wanted to let you guys know, because if you need one or and like I said, it's not like I'm sponsored or anything. I forget how I seen it. I thought I seen a technician use it. I think Dave's Autos, where I've seen him use it. And I thought I did my research on it, and I said, all right, it's a little bit on the pricey, but the body's nice. So far, being in and out of the holster, I'm surprised the color on it hasn't been scuffed up. It's a little bit. I think my other light was brighter, and it's got like where you hold the button, like I'm holding the button right now, and it's finally. That's its brightest, I believe. That's low. It goes low. So, but The big thing which I didn't like about the other one that really bugged me is I didn't like, this was what really kind of sold me. It just, I like the fact that it has a battery indicator, because with my other flashlight all the time, I was always like, you know, like me, you're like, wow, the next day I got a big job and I know I'm going up in the dark and I'll be up on my hands and my knees up in a crawl space or whatever it's going to be, or working on an opener up in a dark area or something. Do I charge my flashlight? Does my flashlight need to be charged? Or, you know, and then the problem is if I take my flashlight out of my gear, because like typically it depends on what kind of workload I have. I'll just keep my I'll keep my gear just right on my pants. You know what I mean? So like the next morning I do is pull my pants if it wasn't a heavy soil day, let's just say, you know, that's not me cracking myself either. That's just, you know, dirt of nastiness. So I just leave it, or I'll take my belt and go through all my gear. And but if it's somewhere else on a shelf or something getting charged, it just, there's that possibility that I forget to have it. And so I like the battery light. That's what was a big selling point to me. Like the laser. Oh yeah, I see Rich is on there. I'm at the gate at the shop. We have an old retired, it was actually from the Coast Guard. Ours is an old, it's a variable speed with a Hitachi in it. It's old. But anyways, it was from the Coast Guard on Grand Haven, Michigan, the big Coast Guard festival. Anyway, there was a guy, I think there was something going on with a girl, and he smashed through the gate. The gate was a few broken pieces in it, the gate operator. So I ended up salvaging it. It's got a glitch in it once in a while. It's been being really good, because I actually have another one that we could use to replace it. But it's been working pretty good, and it was free. You know what I mean? It was customers, basically whatever old one, so we got it working. But that's what we have here, is just old, it's a variable speed. It's a gearhead variable speed. Linear. I don't know what exactly a model. I think it's 220 phase. Yeah, whatever. 220 single phase. Good night. 15 likes. There. Well, we're close. We're close, but I don't think, at least it wasn't on my end. Maybe on your end. Someone I worked with at the carnival used those lights. Did I say at the, was it carnival? Yeah, carnival. Huh. I didn't even know they existed. So, you know, but like I said, I just thought if somebody's on the fence and they're kind of a light snob, or maybe like a knife snob, I guess you could call it, or I'm kind of like a pen snob sometimes. There's certain things that I kind of went, you know, my old flashlight had that like the canvas, and it would, and I thought, well, I like that better because it flips over, because my other light occasionally would slide out. I had the kind of the what do you call it, like the matte light, you know, the ones that would just slide in the holster. And those are very decent lights. They get the job done. They're cheap. I bought the Costco or Cascade or whatever it was from Home Depot, whatever it is. This Coast. It's Coast. And those were good for years. But as I've gotten older, my eyes and stuff, I need a little bit more light. And I like to have a light that does everything, hunting, for up in an attic, to, you know, working on garage doors. So, but that one, I occasionally would turn the darn thing on, and I didn't have a battery light on it. So that really kind of bugged me. So that was a selling point for this one. But I saw, if anybody's out the fence looking for one, I would recommend them so far. They've been really good. Carnival, but we use them when we could close up. Oh, close up shop. Makes sense. It's nice to have a good, you know, good tool. And I work in nighttime conditions a lot, so I need light, you know, so that's why it's always stuck to my hip. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the likes. If you guys got anything, you guys are more than welcome. Hit me up, text, email me, all that good stuff. You can, I always try to put them in the description below, the Daveadubson@gmail.com. I'd like to hear from you. It's always good stuff. And I hope we've done a few things tonight, so that was all great. Eric's got there. He says, good night, everyone. That's right. Thanks, Rich B, for the doors. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Rusty. We'll talk to you later. Remember, keep your fingers. It's Friday, so you don't want to lose it on a Friday. Do it on a Monday, okay? See you later. Take care.